Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince and welcome to the stream, and today we are talking about the best Marvel Cinematic Universe film. Not any Fox film, not the Sam Raimi or the Amazing Spider-Man films, not that, only the MCU films. And we have a lot of guests today to talk about it, to fight it out and decide which is the best one. So let me know before that, how's the audio, how's the videos, everything. Let me know in the chat. We have a lot of people here. And guys, do hit the like button if you enjoy, you find value in this. Doctor Strange, my favorite. Achilles says Infinity War, Black Panther, Ragnarok. Cool. Captain Marvel is the worst. We will talk about that. Endgame, guys, don't give out churli spoilers. If mods are in the chat, any churli spoilers, just delete it. Okay, guys, ready? Let me know how's the audio, how's the video. No, churli is not out. Like, I think there's a film festival in Kerala right now, and it was showed there, so people saw it there.
This could not be further from that film, this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, let me know how's the audio, how's the video. We have 16 people watching. Where are my mods? Always late. Good. No spoilers. Okay. Hopefully everything is good. 18 people watching. Guys, if you enjoy, do the like button. And just before I start, I'm going to talk about a new channel I'm working on that's called Indian Geek Society. So anything related to DC, Marvel, comics, anime, games, tech, we'll be covering all of that on that channel specifically. And there'll be a lot of more people with me, making videos. So go check it out. And yeah, if you enjoy, if you want that stuff, do subscribe. And let's hope for maybe 100 subscribers by the end of this stream. Let's see. Let's hit that goal. So without any delay, guys, let me introduce the panel. And we have Rohit from Nothing But Films. Then we have Suchin Mehrotra from Film Companion. Then we have Jimmy Cage. We have Sudeep from I Breathe Films. And we have... what's your name, man? I forgot your name. Manoj, sorry. From Nerdistan Podcast. And we have Ashmita from I Just React and Review. So, yes, guys, we are starting. And just... I'll set out the rules for today. So I'm the moderator. I'll be, listening to all the arguments, and I'll, giving them points, but I'll not disclose them. And by the end, we'll decide who had the best arguments. And yeah, that's how it goes. And on the way, I'll just explain what we are going to talk about. So let me know in the chat, what are your favorite films? Whose arguments are more convincing? Let me know all of that in the chat. And just before that, guys, first of all, which was your first MCU film you ever watched? One by one, each person. And the first MCU film you saw in theaters. So we start with Rohit first.
The first MCU film I ever watched, and I used to watch it in parts because I used to study all the time. So Iron Man used to come on Star Movies at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
When still produced by Paramount, if I'm right. So I used to watch Iron Man in parts, and I remember watching the climax a lot later with
Okay.
Yeah. And the first film I watched in theaters was obviously Avengers. And I was spellbound because it was the first ensemble film, and I haven't seen anything of that scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. I'll just let you know. If you're not talking, can you mute the mic? Because there's so many people, it gets little annoying. Yeah. So whenever your chance comes, you can turn it on. Cool. Okay, Sachin.
Sorry, first MCU film I saw, I think I've seen most of them in theaters, apart from 2 or 3. I think it was Iron Man. Okay. I think I saw, literally from where it started. So yeah, I think that's probably what. Oh, I mean, Incredible Hulk, if you want to count that. I don't count that. I think it was the last standalone film. But yeah, I think I've pretty much seen most of these films in theaters because I'm that jobless. Or dedicated, however you want to say it.
I would use dedicated. Jimmy.
Pretty much same with me. I saw all of them in the cinema, and also Iron Man was the first one in 2008. But Incredible Hulk definitely counts. It's part of the MCU, even if it's not on Disney Plus right now, because some legal issues with Universal. But Iron Man was the first one, and then just a few months later, Incredible Hulk.
Cool.
And from there on, every single one.
Okay. Sudeep?
Yeah, hi, hello. So first of all, I would like to clear one thing. My name is Sandeep, actually, not
Oh,
Sudeep.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my spelling is a little bit confusing, I know. So moving on to what was your question again? I just forgot.
Your first MCU film and the first MCU film you saw in theaters.
Yeah, the first MCU film I saw in theaters will be Avengers, of course. I still remember the back in Kerala where I watched in Kochi with my cousins. Yeah, it's Avengers. Yeah, it's Avengers.
Okay. Manoj?
I don't know. Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, okay. So the first, I think, MCU movie was obviously Iron Man. I think I watched it in AXN way back in the
Those
day. When we
days,
used to watch
those
those,
days.
yeah, with a lot of intermissions in the middle. But the first, I think, theatrical experience for me was a little bit late. It was actually Captain America: Winter Soldier. From then on, I've actually, I think, watched all the movies in theaters. But yeah, it was a little bit late, but that was a good movie to watch in theaters. Like a nice start.
Cool. And finally, Ashmita.
So the first MCU movie that I watched was Iron Man 2, and it was like completely by accident because I was in Pune at that time, and I went there to meet like a couple of my friends. And this movie, we had nothing to do on this particular day, and this movie had released. So when we reached the mall, it was the only movie that was playing, and the tickets were available for that. And I completely fell in love with the movie. I said, "What is this?" I mean, what? And I watched the post-credit scene also. So
great.
this is something which is very interesting. I have to research about this, and that's how my entire MCU journey started. And after that, after Iron Man 2, I watched everything in the theaters.
Can you say that's the only conditions under which anybody can enjoy Iron Man 2? It's the only movie in theaters and you have nothing better to do. Sorry.
Actually, we were supposed to have a person who was defending Iron Man 2. So,
But they don't exist? Yeah, that makes sense.
You would have lost.
they got snapped away. Okay. The reason I asked this question was, for me, this was very different. That's why I thought it would be interesting to ask you guys. For me, I think the first Marvel movie I saw in theaters was Avengers Age of Ultron. And the first Marvel film I ever saw was Avengers on Star Movies, I think. And I don't remember Star Movies or Star Gold, maybe in Hindi, I don't know. But I loved it. And then slowly I got invested. And I think reason even after watching Avengers, I couldn't watch a lot of films in the theaters because I was in school. I couldn't, go out and just watch movies. So once I went to college, I think 2016, and I saw all the movies in theaters since then. So yeah, that was my story. And moving on. Okay, let's do that first. What Marvel means to you, each of you, what MCU is for you, what it has done, what it has changed, why you like it's just the movies, or there's something else that connects it with you. So let me know, and we'll start from Ashmita first.
So I have always liked superhero movies. It's not like I have not been invested into this genre. But I think what MCU did for me is that I somehow got emotionally connected with the characters, which had never happened before. Like I used to watch a superhero film and yes, go gaga about it with my friends, and yeah, that's it. Then what is the next one? But with MCU, I think what they did is that they really, made you so invested in their characters that I was literally waiting for the next one. Okay, after 2 years or after a year, this movie is supposed to come. The theories, I used to, check out forums. What is going to be, the predictions for the next. I think I personally have never done that for a superhero. So for me, I think I was heavily emotionally invested in MCU, and that was for me, I think, something really big to happen for me to get invested in a superhero films like this.
Great. Manoj?
Okay. Sorry, I keep unmuting myself. That's why I
Yeah,
keep doing
we
this.
get it. We get it. Move on.
So I was actually a hardcore DC fan. I still am. So I
Yes.
actually grew up watching all of those characters and watching those animated series. So for me, I always looked at MCU with a little bit of disgust before. I'm like, it's not that good, or it's just average. It doesn't compare to the Dark Knight trilogy. That was always my thoughts initially, at least. But I think for me, MCU has been a journey of sort of converting me into a fan of these characters. I'm still not a major fan of these characters in other media, but just the cinematic versions of these characters, it kind of turned me around, and it emotionally connected with me, these characters. I mean, I think the only series that sort of connected with me in this way was the Harry Potter series before. But after that, I never thought I would get so invested in a series like this. And for me, that's what the MCU was after that. And I think just seeing this journey of these characters across like 23 movies, and especially looking at their final resolution in Endgame, it was a hell of a journey. So that's what the MCU means to me.
Yeah. Sandeep.
Yeah, hi. So, as Manoj said, same applies for me. Basically, I'm a DC fan, but I don't think DC keeps their standard as high as Marvel. I mean, Marvel movies are just so bright and funny and entertaining, and that's what makes the Marvel more special. I mean, it's more widely appreciated because of that. And while growing up, we all wanted to watch such colorful, bright movies with superheroes in it. And I think that's the main reason I liked this Marvel more. I still remember watching Spider-Man 3 starring Tobey Maguire from theaters,
Yeah.
which is of course not a part of MCU. But I liked it because I don't know, it was so colorful. It had something special in it. That's what the Marvel, basically Marvel has as the USP, as their USP. And when it changed to this MCU, I feel like they have a very well written plan of action that needs to be covered like in for the next 40 years, and they're doing it bang on. They are making it so I mean humorous, like colorful, entertaining and whatnot. And that's what Marvel MCU's so widely appreciated. Yeah, and I still remember watching this Endgame in the theaters here in Dubai on April 24th. I still remember that day, and I was sobbing when Iron Man snapped his fingers. And after that, at the credit scene where our Chris Evans Captain America hugging his lady love, I was like sobbing. And after that movie, I just messaged my friend. I mean, in India, it
Spoiler,
was
guys.
going to be
Spoiler alert.
released in April.
Spoiler, guys. Sorry.
It was on April 27th. In India, it got released on April 27th, and in Dubai, it released on April 24th. So I had this upper hand. So I didn't spoil him. I just said, dude, just watch this movie. I'm sobbing right now. I'm weeping right now. And I was like, still, I feel like sobbing right now. I don't know why. Yeah, that's it. MCU means a lot to me. And if you check my page, you can see many MCU posts also.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's Thank you.
Guys, links to everyone's page, Insta handles, it's all in the description. So do check them out. Okay, next, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think it's just incredible what they achieved in creating this whole cinematic universe. I also very much remember in 2008, it was all about The Dark Knight. That was the movie everybody was looking forward to. And I think it's still better than most of the MCU movies. And for me, I wasn't a fan of the MCU movies from the beginning. I thought Iron Man was a pretty good movie. Hulk was okay. And then the first Captain America was good, and so on and so on. But over the years, as they keep pushing out those movies and as it all expanded and there were so many new characters introduced and the casting was also pretty much always spot on and so many great actors were introduced to the MCU. Like Ashmita said, it's the emotional connection just grew over the years. And if you make like 23 movies, that's like a kind of a TV series, but only on the big screen with a giant budget, and pretty much the whole world is watching these movies and can share their love and their feelings about it, and maybe if they don't like it, discuss about it. And they created this huge thing. And when I watched Wonder Vision, I'm not spoiling anything here, but there was, I think, episode 4 or so, and I instantly felt the connection to this MCU. I was sitting on my couch, and there was this craving all of a sudden, because with the pandemic, cinemas are closed, and all of a sudden, something new from the MCU was in our home, and it was just 30-minute episodes, but there were so many emotions attached to it because of all the work they have done in the previous 13 years by now, and I think that's just incredible. And yeah, and so far there are a few movies that aren't as great. Some are a little bit above average, I think, but they didn't really made a terrible movie until now. And I'm very curious to see how they will expand it even more so with phase 4 coming up and with the TV stuff. So yeah, it will be interesting.
Cool. Okay, Sachin.
I think for me, it's a lot of what sort of Manoj and Jimmy have already said. As a kid, I was the DC guy. DC had some of my favorite characters. I think what Marvel did is made characters that a lot of people didn't know about, and really sort of made us fall in love with them. I mean, there's a talking tree in there that's incredibly weird, and now we all love it. It's a small example. I'm just a massive fan of superhero films. The whole world is complaining about how there's too many. I'm one of those idiots who's like, give me more. I think with Marvel, what they achieved in terms of just the idea of a cinematic universe, this massive sprawling world, you have a bunch of standalone films, yet they're all interconnected, that, they're accessible to people who just want to watch one, they're accessible to people like us who are just so invested in, this entire world. Even to today, it sort of blows my mind. Nobody's really come close to doing it. Nobody has replicated it. Just the idea of planning a universe. I don't know how else you describe it, where you can really go on like a 10-year journey with these characters over 23 films. It's insane. Also, it's like, somebody mentioned Harry Potter. It's one of those franchises that really define a generation. You start off with Iron Man, this sort of fun superhero film, and sort of literally 10 years later, you have these massive payoffs, some of the most cinematic moments ever in Endgame, and you really feel like you went through something. And I think, like everyone here, we're all sort of curious to know what happens now in the future. Are we going to be as invested? Was Endgame sort of the end of some kind of fandom? But I think overall, they are some of the most rewatchable movies ever made. I don't think of any franchise I'd revisit as much, just because they're so accessible, so fun. So yes, I am. I get a lot of judgment for it, but I'm a massive MCU nut.
Yeah. Guys, as Sachin said, even Harry Potter and all. So we will be doing more such things like, best Disney film, best Pixar film and all of that. So to get that, do subscribe and do like this. So, we know you guys enjoyed this discussion and we'll do more in future. Moving on to Rohit.
For me, Marvel has been my entire childhood, literally. Because I have grown up with superhero films. I have grown up making connections with characters. And it's been over a number of films, right? And the thing is, it was just not limited to one medium, because after exploring Marvel movies, I would get new graphic novels for myself, and not just Marvel. I went to IDW, then I went to Vertigo, then I went to DC, and I got exposed to a whole new world of literature as well. So it was a very wholesome thing, It was not just about having connections with characters which were so well written. They did fall flat like Thor 2 did, but we don't talk about that here. So, I explored people like Frank Miller, Art Spiegelman, good writers, and it's brought so many new directors like the Russos, right? From Community, from a TV background to the film background, which, I don't know if they made any other films before the Winter Soldier, but it gave them a good spotlight. Yeah. So it's not even been good for filmmakers, it's been good for fans, it's been good throughout mediums, I guess. So yeah, that's what it's been to me, and I think it's also what's been to the entire world, I feel.
Great. And I think I have same, feelings as all of you have stated. And someone in the chat said Martin Scorsese left the chat. So sorry that he left it. And I think for me, the biggest thing is that, that interconnected universe, that they changed storytelling in films, which, for last 100 years, it was just, one film. That's it. or maybe we'll have sequels, that takes the story ahead. But to have an interconnected universe, characters throughout all these films coming together, and this interaction is the same universe, so just amazing. And I was like very late to join the party, and when I found about all this, I knew DC because of the animated shows and everything. I didn't even knew what Marvel is. What I only knew Spider-Man. That's it. So when I saw Avengers and I understood this, there are two parts, Marvel, DC, and they are always fighting, it was all new to me. And I'm from heart DC, but of course in films Marvel is great. So okay, moving on.
I just wanted to say to your Martin Scorsese point, obviously it is a big sort of argument about whether superhero popcorn movies can be cinema. But I mean, like you said, if you have a franchise that's fundamentally changed storytelling, if you have Endgame, which has some of the most, those insanely emotional moments where people really feel those. I mean, I personally think that that's as much cinema as anything else. But yes, it is a fun debate.
Okay, talking about Martin Scorsese, I love his Shutter Island. I've not seen many of his films, only some, and Shutter Island is just amazing film. But my only problem with this statement, he can have his opinion. No one should care about it. I don't care about it. But him saying that, after saying that he hasn't watched all of it or haven't, just tried them, but it didn't work for him, I think that's unacceptable from a person like that. Watch it and then criticize it as much as you want, but don't say something just because it didn't work for you, just one movie, and also that's it.
Yeah, because his words have power, so he is an influential person. So
yeah.
From that perspective,
and I think he kind of rephrased it after watching Joker on theaters.
Oh, don't get me started on Joker. Yeah. Honestly,
in his defense, I think where he's trying to come from is also, if you take away the MCU specifically, which we all believe is meaningful storytelling, I think just for a lot of smaller filmmakers who make small films, it's just that superhero films just take out most of the year. That's all anybody wants to make. So I think it just makes it much harder for everyone else. But that's more about the genre, not necessarily this one sort of universe.
Yeah. I think what MCU has done is that the basic template of a world is with superpowers, and then you tell a human story. Previously, it was a real world and you tell a human story. I think that's what has changed with superhero movies. Okay, moving on. Your least favorite film. It can be one or two, or if you haven't even seen a film, so you can let me know. Let's start from Rohit.
Thor 2 all the way.
I've not even seen it.
Which one?
I'm just gonna go Travis Bickle on Thor 2.
Thor 2. Thor the Dark World.
Thor 2. My God.
Yes. What a travesty.
Okay.
Imagine that they redeemed that movie in the endgame somehow.
That's amazing.
That was amazing.
Because I was so happy when Taika was brought in, right? Because I had seen Hunt for the Wilder People. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I was like, yes, finally. We are going to get a Thor redemption arc.
Exactly.
They literally reduced all the dead weight. They killed everybody who was dead weight. And they even gave him a haircut. So, yeah.
That's what we look for in a Thor film, is it? Like hairstyle.
Yeah.
I think yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it actually took Thor as space aliens other than space white. Because they relied too much on mythology, made it very darker because everybody was trying to go dark, right? It's like, yes, it has to be dark intense. Taika was like, no, let's have a orgy spaceship shooting firecrackers. That's gonna be fun, right? So, yeah.
That was the one-liner of how he pitched the film.
Yeah. But yeah, so that man was fun. He has done What We Do in the Shadows. He has done Hunt for the Wilder People. It makes me more than happy to see him going with Star Wars as well.
Let's not go to Star Wars.
I'm really sad to hear that.
Okay, you know what? This can be an open question. Anyone wants to pitch in their worst movie or least favorite?
Yeah, I'll say. I don't want to sound any misogynistic or something, but my least favorite movie is Captain Marvel. I'm really sorry.
No, I agree with you.
I mean,
that's like saying I'm not racist, but Black Panther.
I kind of felt that.
It's okay if you don't like the movie. I didn't like
No,
it.
I am just I don't want to sound any bit rude, but I kind of felt it too much cliche or something. I mean, I watched the movie, but I kind of knew what was coming. I kind of knew what they are offering. I didn't feel anything new in it. It's unarguably it's the most powerful Avenger in the whole universe I know, but still that movie didn't click me. I didn't feel like watching it like in on one sitting. I didn't feel like watching it. So yeah, that's my not least favorite. That kind of disappointed me.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
out of all the 22.
disappointment. I think because I was expecting too much from this film. The movie which
Yeah.
disappointed me was Age of Ultron, Avengers: Age of Ultron. I think overall, yes, in terms of the conceptualization, because Ultron is an amazing villain, but I think they went really extreme. They put humor in every dialogue. They've tried to put humor in every dialogue, and they've tried to make it so dark. So I don't know. This did not work for me. I think maybe my expectations were like sky high after the first Avengers. So I think I was really led down watching that film. But otherwise, I wouldn't say it's a badly made film, but just did not click with me.
I think there's not even single MCU film which is a very badly made film. You know, like
that's-
just
Yeah, there's
the
no bad
Joss
film.
Whedon
There's
Justice
no bad
League
film.
or what like
Justice League is a masterpiece.
like Dark
What are you
Phoenix
doing?
kind of a thing.
What are you saying,
No,
man?
wait for the Snyder cut, guys. Wait for the Snyder cut.
Snyder Cut trailer tomorrow, guys. Okay.
Dude, forget the
Hallelujah.
Snyder cut.
I think there's a video
I
out
think this
there.
time they're gonna ace it.
There's a video out there by
It will
the
be a 4-hour movie, so I think.
yeah. There's a video out there by a Canadian lad, and he talks about why Age of Ultron is so important film in the MCU, and I think he makes really good sense. So check that out if you want. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean it's actually that's true because Age of Ultron sets up a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
it kind of sets up Civil War a little bit.
Right.
It also introduces us to
Very
Vision.
important film.
So it does. Yeah, I know it was it's a boring film. Like I never rewatch it. But like actually, my least favorite is Captain Marvel. But the reasons are a little bit different. It's not because it was like I actually didn't have much expectations. But the main problem for me with Captain Marvel is that I don't know her character at all, even after the first
Yeah.
movie. Like if you look at movies like Captain America, the first one, or Thor, the first one, I keep saying first, the first Iron Man movie, all of these movies really define who the hero is. Whereas Captain Marvel, I feel like because they opted for this memory loss kind of a story, where you don't really understand who Carol Danvers is, and I really hope in the sequels they explore her character more. But that's why Captain Marvel is one of my least favorite movies. I just wanted to add that.
I think for me, it's, apart from the obvious choices, which is like Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, which I just think are very poor films. Two of my more controversial picks for stuff I really didn't like. One is Thor Ragnarok. That's a film that I have a lot of issues with, which I know most people love. I think as a standalone film, it's one of the most entertaining
Okay.
movies ever. Like, it's insane, but
That was
the
controversial.
true, but the fact is that they try and keep it consistent tone, right? And
Yeah.
when they try to reinvent the Thor franchise, so they made Thor the comedy. And
Yeah.
I have a problem when there's inconsistent tones through the film because I don't feel like this is the same character. I feel like
Okay.
they've literally just made a cartoon kind of thing. The other one for me is Infinity War. I have a lot of issues with that film just because I just think that
That's surprising.
I do. I mean, I felt slightly better about it after Endgame because I thought that fine, it's actually two parts to a greater whole. But with Infinity War, I just thought there were far too many characters, and they, in order to do justice to Thanos and give him a sense of a character, which they did fairly well, everybody was sidelined. Like nobody had anything. Everyone just felt like a two-liner. So yeah, it just felt like spectacle for the sake of it. But then
In
I kind of
in
forgave
its
it a bit
defense, it
after
was
Endgame.
kind of a Thanos movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so if you love that character, then that movie is good enough for you. But
I
was not.
actually feel it's like a Thanos versus Thor movie, kind of,
Yeah.
because I think those are the two characters that has like the most amount of screen time in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that character works for you, that film completely pays off. But I was not comfortable with seeing everyone that I loved for so long, literally footnote kind of thing.
There's a lot of support for Sachin
but
actually in the chat.
Wow. Okay, that's the first time that's ever happened. I'm never leaving.
Jimmy, You wanna add any?
Yeah, for me, pretty much the obvious ones. I think I have to rewatch all of them at one point because there are quite a lot of movies I have only seen once.
Yeah.
But Ant-Man and the Wasp was quite disappointing for me because I thought the first Ant-Man is a real gem. And Thor, The Dark World, and Iron Man 2. So the obvious ones.
Okay. I think
Obvious one.
for me, I think I've not seen the Dark World, Thor: The Dark World, and the Incredible Hulk. I've not even seen them. And apart from that, you talked about Captain Marvel. And I think Guardians 2, I was really disappointed when I came out of the theater. I
me
felt
too.
like it's not worth.
I'm with you.
It was not worth cinema. Like just for the visuals, okay, but like in terms of the world building or world going ahead or the story moving ahead in the whole narrative, it does nothing for me. And I'm like, if I don't watch it, it doesn't matter. So if you're making a film that doesn't matter in the bigger narrative picture, like why should I care? I felt that, but later I realized its importance after watching Infinity War. So okay. Other than that, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp was also a little disappointing. Yeah. There was a thing, someone said if Edgar Wright made Ant-Man, it would have been great. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's hard to say in hindsight. I mean, Edgar Wright is an amazing director, but there's always the question: how much can he do what he wants to do
True.
Yeah.
in the MCU? And I think Ant-Man turned out pretty well. So yeah, maybe an Edgar Wright Ant-Man would be better, but it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I think I always thought that Ant-Man and the Wasp, the sequel, was the ultimate test because Ant-Man changed hands so many times that Adam McKay had Edgar Wright, so it had some of the greatest comedy directors. So and they all technically worked on the script. So for me, it was the ultimate test of the sequel to see if it was them and their work on the script that really made that film so good. And I think for me, Ant-Man and the Wasp is a very flat, fine, I get it, just about a superhero film. Like nothing remarkable about it. So there's a good chance it's because of their involvement, because they have writing credits in the film. So clearly, whatever the script that they made is the one that was made.
Cool.
But I think the visual style of Edgar Wright, like his editing style, all of that would have made it really cool and epic. And I think a lot of that also made it to the movie, like you said. But I mean, like it still would have been a visual treat to watch, like Edgar Wright's original version. But it's okay, stuff happens. But at least they changed hands before the film went into production, and not like Justice League, where it was in the middle.
Don't talk about that film, please. We are getting a better one tomorrow.
But having an original vision is not. I don't think it's an advantage. I don't think Marvel's looking for that. They're looking for someone who is different enough to be different, but then you need to play ball. That's why people who have a very specific vision. No, like that's not what we're looking for. Don't.
True.
Chat, all good? Okay. I was gonna say something. I forgot. What you were talking about just now?
Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
We were talking.
Okay.
I was going to say some random stuff now.
Okay. What? Okay. Okay. If it comes to my mind.
Iron Man and the Kangaroo. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, we are half an hour into this, and let me know any of you on the panel. Are you time sensitive? You have to leave early or something like that. So I'll carry on the next part according to it. Is anyone very time sensitive? Can we have 1 hour, like from here, 1 hour or 45 minutes? All good?
True. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Half an hour into it, we have warmed everyone up. The ice has been broken. So now it will be more fun to talk about our favorite films. So just before that, first of all, guys, check all of them out. The links to their Insta page, YouTube channel is in the description. Go check them out. Also, I'll just take 30 seconds break here. And just before that, I'll tell all of you, we'll start with Ashmita. And I'll tell you, like, what I want is from, each film, talk about the themes, scenes, moments, character arcs. Like, you talk about why the film is special, but if you add these things, it will become a more convincing argument. So start with that, why your film is great.
Just like school.
I hope, how many people,
if I had this in school would be so much better.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah. Okay, guys, take 30 seconds and I'll just talk to the chat for 30 seconds. Hello chat, I'm Nona Prince. Welcome to the stream. If you're enjoying, do hit the like button, consider subscribing, and I'm going through all your chats, so don't worry, you're not being ignored. If there are any questions, please wait. By the end of the stream, we'll take them. And yes, let us know, what are your favorite films? Why you like this one? Do you like the argument convincing and all of that? And one more thing, I'm working on this new channel called Indian Geek Society, and we're talking about all the geeky stuff there, from DC, Marvel, tech, anime, all of that stuff. We'll be covering all of that, and there'll be more creators with me working on this, making videos for it. So definitely, if you're into that kind of stuff, go check it out, subscribe, and let's hope to get around maybe 100 subscribers by the end of the stream. Let's hit that goal. So thank you. Okay, we are back after the intermission, and okay, Ashmita, are you ready? Everyone, I hope you have a pen and paper to write down how to destroy her film.
No.
Just kidding.
No.
Just kidding. Okay,
Why can't we be friends?
we can be friends after the stream.
Nona's hell bent on creating enemies.
I want
out of
fire on screen. I want fire.
us. That's not
Okay, guys.
happening.
Can we, for this round, can we have everyone muted? Only the person speaking. If everyone can
What if
mute
you want to say
themselves.
boo? Okay.
You can. Okay, Ashmita, your time starts now. There's no time, just I'm saying. Yeah, go ahead.
So my favorite pick from all the MCU movies is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and there are many reasons for that. Number one is the writing. I think it is one of the best, well-written, most wholesomely written MCU movies that I've seen. Everybody's character arcs were great. I really like the storyline, and this was the first MCU movie, particularly where I actually felt that okay, the stakes are actually pretty serious and the stakes are actually high. And this is the movie which made Captain America cool. A lot of people were telling me he's not really the cool Avenger and this and that, but I think after this movie, everybody's perspective of Captain America and the way they looked at him as a character completely changed. He became the cool one, which I really liked because I personally love Captain America. And Captain America and Black Widow pairing was just something that I never knew that I needed in a film. So I think that was great. And the score, let's not forget about the score. This has, I think, one of the best scores of the MCU movie.
Okay.
Is my 30 seconds over? I can
No.
go on.
You
but
go on. Until
It's
you
okay.
stop, I'll count it.
No, it's okay.
No, you go ahead. Like, it's not enough. Come on. You have to give me more. You have to
Let's
give me
start.
more.
When I'm fighting with everybody.
You have to give me more. Come on, that's not enough. Moments, dialogues, anything that stands out.
Oh, the
Character
first
arcs.
on your left is the dialogue that became so memorable when what Captain America said to Falcon. And everybody, I think Bucky Barnes as a character, Falcon, Anthony Mackie did so well, Romanoff. I think here, this was the movie where we actually got a lot of depth into Black Widow's character. Like she became an important part of the MCU story. And I think before this, nobody really paid attention to her, but here she was given a lot of importance. So that was one. Second is another thing is the action scenes. I think this movie has one of the best choreographed action scenes I have not seen. Like mostly they are like the big blasts and all of that, but here I think hand-to-hand combat and the scenes, all the sequences with the shield and all were just fabulous. I think still out of all the films, this movie has the best action sequences for me.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think you ticked most of my points too, so great job. Okay, next, I'm going according to the linear format, so I think next should be Jimmy.
All right, then my pick is easily Guardians of the Galaxy, directed by James Gunn. And the categories, when I think about what makes a great MCU movie, then for me it's important that it's a great movie in itself and not just kind of a connection patchwork that connects the MCU somehow, but it should also functions as a movie itself. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy is great in that, because all of those characters we haven't seen before. The movie is able to introduce all of them, and at the end of the movie we know each one, we feel for them. But at the same time, an MCU movie should also be a great MCU movie and fit in the whole. And I think you have to remember when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, it was 2014. And this was pretty much the movie that introduced us to the whole space aspect of the MCU. Up until that point, everything was pretty much based on Earth or Asgard, of course, but it wasn't this huge, epic, universe expanding cinematic universe. It was still grounded, I would say. But now we had this movie with a talking tree and a talking raccoon, and they really took a chance with that because, sure, even Iron Man isn't really Marvel's tier 1 superhero. That would be Spider-Man, but of course they didn't have the rights back then. So the MCU was successful in introducing Iron Man, Thor, etc. But to take an IP like Guardians of the Galaxy that is so out there, so crazy, and not really known to the general public. I think nobody outside of the comic book fans knew about these characters, and then you have this movie that introduces us to a talking raccoon, and we really like him, and he became one of the best characters in the MCU. And I think I can talk a lot more about the movie, but I think we should let the next one talk, and then I will come back to the many highlights of Guardians of the Galaxy, from the soundtrack, cinematography, and so on and so on.
I think you can go on. I think we'll complete one.
I can go on.
Yeah. We'll complete everything about a film, and then we'll go to the next round.
Everything about the film. Okay, then I have to talk for another 30 minutes. But it's also the movie where the whole thing with the Infinity Stones really kicks into the next gear, because this is the movie where Thanos is really seen for more than just 1 second in an end credit scene. This is the movie where we see him interact with Ronan the Accuser, and where he makes a bigger entrance to the MCU. And yeah, when it comes to the MCU, there are a few critiques that always pop up, and one is, for example, that the scores aren't that memorable. Ashmita just talked a little bit about the score to Winter Soldier, and it's a good score, but I think it's not even fair. But Guardians of the Galaxy has easily the best soundtrack in the entire MCU, not just the background music, but of course all the songs that were iconic and became even more iconic afterwards. And I think the Awesome Mix Volume 1, people still listen to that tape on Spotify, YouTube, or whatever, and it's an amazing soundtrack. And the music is so well woven into this character of Star-Lord. The music is so important for his character, for his arc, and I think Star-Lord is one of the most interesting characters in the entire MCU. And the movie beautifully opens up with him losing his mother, and he's not able to hold her hand, and that's such a great thing to start a movie that way, and then continue that theme of loss and not able to get close to other characters. And through the movie he gets all these new friends and builds this team. And yeah, I could go on and on, but I think that's enough for now.
Cool. Great one. Just you missed one thing. I wish we had talked about it, so I'll not reveal it, but maybe you can add up later. Okay, next should be who's next? I think Manoj. Or maybe okay. No, not Manoj. Manoj, mute yourself. Sachin, you go ahead.
Are you sure? Are you going to cut me off? I'm slightly
Wait. Let me. No. Sandeep, what's your film again? I forgot.
It was Doctor Strange.
Okay, you can go ahead.
I
you can go ahead.
Intro.
Okay.
Who, me?
You can go ahead, I think. Doctor Strange was before that. Okay, yeah, Doctor Strange, yeah.
So next is me, right? So I just want to start by saying that Jimmy kind of looks like James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Maybe that's why. Maybe it's him.
I think that's why he chose it. Yeah, so I kind of made an intro, till the arrival of this film, we have seen the real world mechanics of how Avengers are working. Some are super strong, some are super smart, some are angry, and there is one god of thunder as well. And then we have this guy with paranormal elements who introduces us to this psychedelic world on a psychedelic tone, blending superheroes with the supernatural. Bam, Doctor Strange is here. directed by what was his name? It's Scott Derrickson, who's really famous for directing films, especially in the horror genre like Sinister, etc. Yeah, so I just want to put out that he's one of the strongest character in the MCU. I mean, Doctor Strange. He may not smash buildings like Hulk, but he's the sorcerer supreme. I mean, he has a lot of incredible abilities. Um, and I suspect he's going to be one of the powerful characters in the MCU. And then about the character arc, he's an arrogant, gifted surgeon who's really rich, just like Tony Stark. He met with an accident and gets unable to perform any medical operations. Then he becomes obsessed to find his cure. He travels to Nepal. I think it's Nepal, yeah. He travels to Nepal and meets with this and visits this temple where he meets this lady known as Ancient One. And then there his story unfolds. I think this is one of the best character intros that ever MCU has produced. I mean, there are many layers underneath. And then the best thing is the casting. We have wonderful Tilda Swinton, Rachel McAdams, then Chiwetel Ejiofor, Benedict Wong. I mean, there is Rachel McAdams, man. What else do we need? So, yeah, that's it.
Great.
I mean, I will add one more point. What was... yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I can go on after the next guys. I mean...
You talked about...
he'll like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll likely continue to push the boundaries in the MCU as it enters the post-Infinity saga.
Okay.
He's gonna be the game changer. Mark my words. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. You talked about
And one more thing. You know what's the best? Yeah. You know what's the best? Wait. Something happened?
No, all right. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? You can hear me, right?
Yeah. We can hear you.
Yeah, and the best part of this whole movie is that he defeats the legendary Dormammu from the Dark Dimension, not by destroying or overpowering him, but by outsmarting him. Not the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talked about one thing, you touched it a bit. I wish you had talked about it more. Do you want to think about something and talk something else? Add something maybe?
He has the Infinity Stone. He's the
that's all right.
guy.
That's the plot and everything. But anything else as a film?
This reminds me of my +2 Viva. Like, I'm not even joking.
I want to give you full marks.
This isn't
I want to give you full marks.
Like, if our argument isn't good enough, like somebody's gonna get into the Hunger Games.
Nona. Huh?
If there's something you can add me and help me, ma'am. Just...
Okay, I'll not do that. Okay, you're done?
It's very cruel, very cruel.
See, I want all of you to give your best.
My go. You guys go.
Okay, I think next is Rohit.
So the film that I am going to be defending is Iron Man 3, the dark horse of the black sheep of the MCU film.
Okay, first of all, everyone just clap for him. He's so brave.
I wanna clap.
He's so brave that he took this one.
Challenge accepted. That's, respect.
Seriously.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, we know Kevin Feige as a huge controller of films, right? He's the mastermind. The director might do anything. But Shane Black came in with his own filmography and gave a twist to Iron Man, which was very close to what Jon Favreau did, but it had its own unique twist. So I would like to go into specifics because because the one thing which was very important in Tony's character is his PTSD arc, right? It is his PTSD arc. He was literally the merchant of death as in Iron Man 1. And now he tried to save the world. He went through the wormhole and now he's recuperating with it, okay? Marvel films don't really talk about mental health, but we see the flag bearer of the MCU suffering from issues because he tried to save the world. And there is always a price to pay for being a superhero. And that's what we saw. And on a personal level, Then I feel this paranoia, right? I think it came before Iron Man 2, and he talks about we really need it. It came before. Sorry, what's happening to me? Age of Ultron, right? He says we need to build a suit of armor around the world.
Yes.
One Iron Man won't cut it, right? That's why
Yeah.
he builds so many suits. He gets obsessed with building suits, right?
Yeah.
He literally becomes a man with an iron heart, and there's this one person he cares about, that's Pepper. He gets abducted by Aldrich Killian, who is later revealed to be the Mandarin, which I will talk about later again, because many people say Shane Black butchered the character, which I don't believe in. Then we come to the fact that his entire hero complex, that he has to save everyone, right? We actually see that Iron Man is not the suit, right? We see him as the mechanic. He's literally nicknamed the mechanic, okay?
Yeah.
And we see him surviving a cold, wintry nightscape. We see him meeting this kid. And before Peter Parker, we see him as this mentor figure to this little boy. And when he leaves him with the gadgets, he sets up an entire workbench. We know that this guy is a good father figure. He may have his own regrets, but that doesn't stop you from being a good man at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then the ending, I thought the ending was beautiful because it kind of showed his addiction, because he made all these suits and he destroyed all his suits, right? But in the later movies, in Civil War, he split with Pepper because he again went back to making suits. He removed the arc reactor and then he again went back to making suits again. So that talks about how it becomes an addiction, how there's this entire paranoia that if I don't save the world, who will?
Yeah.
Because his weapons have killed millions. And then let's talk about Harley Keener. Harley Keener is the precursor to Peter Parker, I feel. Okay, the fact that he was even shown in the funeral scene of Avengers Endgame proves how important of a film Iron Man 3 is. And then we have always seen Pepper as a romantic interest from Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2. She's always, but in the end, she comes and saves the day. She literally kills Aldrich Killian, okay, with her extremist powers. And that's the origin story of Rescue in a way. Okay, and then what's next? Sorry, I can't concentrate. Some wedding is going on outside.
No problem. No problem.
And
Take your time.
Then we see her being an independent character, right? Who can actually influence Tony, who can actually talk about the fact that, hey, you need to go and save the world out there, or maybe your marriage is more important. Because we saw her telling him that your marriage is important in Iron Man 3. And in Endgame, she tells, do what you have to do. Because with him finding out the time travel solution, right?
Yeah.
In that scene when she's talking about composting,
yeah,
it ties very well into Tony's character in the later films. Then the Mandarin, right? When the Mandarin came out, it was a very racist stereotype, right? It was a racist stereotype. Chinese guys sitting in the Middle East trying to bomb people, not really good, not a really good representation, right? So they actually gave a very nice twist. America has always been tried to frame the Middle East. That's always been their way of waging war. They have literally been the merchants of death. Yeah. And when you see somebody like Aldrich Killian, who was insulted by Tony, you see that his demons are catching up with him, which then again you see in John Watts films, with Vulture, with Mysterio. It gave a lot of background to the Spider-Man films as well. Yeah. And then Tyler Bates' score. It literally just blew Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2 score, and we hear leitmotifs from the score in Infinity War and Endgame. So that's how great of a film it was, even though it might not be recognized very well among all the films, but I think it really set up whatever was to come. So yeah. I think that's the argument for Iron Man 3.
Can you just mute fast? We can hear the music.
Can I say that's the greatest soundtrack for any film defense I've ever heard? Like it.
Jimmy, I'm sorry. I wish you could understand the joke.
No. I'm not joking. It really added to the whole thing. Like, I'm really seeing Iron Man 3 in a different way.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people in the chat are like, that was really good. Like, I never saw that Iron Man 3 like that. So great, man. A lot of things you pointed out. I never knew I have to write so many things. That's a great thing. So great job. And I think the last man standing is Suchin. So
No pressure.
you have pressure. You have defending my film. So go ahead.
I'm genuinely worried. I feel like you're expecting something, and I have no idea if I'm going to live up to it. Firstly, can I just say this is insanely fun? Just to talk to a bunch of people who love this universe and everyone just talking about their favorite film. I really don't agree with everyone's picks, but it's so cool to see the points, and it really makes you think of some of these films in a different way. But yes, so mine is Captain America: Civil War. I think it is the greatest MCU film for a couple of reasons. So I think it's one of the most mature MCU films. I think you can tell literally in the first 10 minutes of that film, just tonally wise, it's going for something very serious. It's not sort of staying away from the spectacle, but it really is going for something more mature. Even the storyline, I think one of the most fascinating aspects of the world of superheroes is the politics. It's something that Justice League did very well with. What is the politics of a world where you have superheroes? Because are they necessarily the good guys? Even if they always say they are, they're the ones taking the call. They're the ones considering themselves above the law. And that's such a fascinating mix. And I thought they really explored that in such an interesting way in this film. It's one of the films where I really felt it was challenging storytelling. I had to watch that film twice to really understand everyone's perspective, to see who was right, who was wrong, where they were coming from in terms of sort of Iron Man believing that just out of some ridiculous guilt that, whatever the government says is right. And obviously Cap's stance of, if you are beholden to the government, you are part of the problem. And I love that conflict. I thought, Batman versus Superman wise, that just felt slightly hollow. This really felt you completely got where everyone was coming from. It was in the gray. And I really loved sort of the different perspectives and how sort of all the characters split up. It didn't feel forced. At no point do you ever think, wait, why are all these people fighting? It really did earn that sort of conflict. I think scale-wise, to me, it was Infinity War done right. Obviously, ignoring the Thanos aspect, it is a massive film. It's bigger than a lot of the Avengers movies, just in terms of how many characters they're balancing. But you really, in fleeting scenes and just one or two lines of dialogue, you really got a sense of who everyone was. It's one of the, Spider-Man had a fantastic entry. Even people like Ant-Man or Hawkeye in it for barely scenes, vision and stuff. But you really get a sense of who they are and where their stance is. And I thought it balanced massive versus sort of intimate, sort of intricate character stuff very, very well. It wasn't just about spectacle. Like, everyone talks about the airport scene, amazing, so well done. Like, holy shit, I can't believe that happened. That film is not good because of the airport scene. You remove that, it's still a fantastic film. The fun comic book aspects were just value add. I also think it's just characters wise. It's obviously I mentioned sort of Spider-Man's introduction was fantastic. I think it's the best Iron Man film. In terms of it's the best Captain America, just in terms of where Iron Man was at in a very sort of dark place. I completely bought that this is what would happen. Pepper is going to leave him. He is going to live in guilt. It really made sense. It's one of the reasons I had an issue with Spider-Man Homecoming, because I felt that they completely undid all of the character work they put into Tony Stark in that film. I think it has a fantastic villain. He does not fly. He's not purple. He doesn't have superpowers. He's just a guy psychologically looking to break down the Avengers, and I thought it was so well done. And yeah, I mean, it was dark for the MCU standards. It left you in such a sad, tragic place, but I just thought that it was really fantastically done.
Great points. Anything else you want to add?
You're making that face, and my heart rate is increasing.
Nona's getting on our nerves. Okay.
Great.
No, I think I've covered most of it. I think, yeah, there's no film that really did something brave and really balanced massive with sort of small character moments. So yeah, that I'm resting my case and praying to God that was enough.
Cool, great. And guys, talking about Krish 3 in the chat, please. We don't talk about the masterpieces here. Some other day we'll do that.
That is cinema. Ask Martin Scorsese. He says Krish 3 cinema.
He has. Okay, guys, great.
Yeah, and Nona, don't forget, it's an Anupam Kher star, Krish 3.
Inside joke. Okay, guys.
Inside joke.
Loved everyone's first round was
I didn't
great.
get to speak.
And sorry.
It was on purpose by Nona.
We have a biased moderator.
I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Manoj, go ahead.
It's okay. It's
Manoj,
okay,
go
it's
ahead.
okay. Actually, it was good that Suchin went first because my movie, I think, came out immediately after his because my favorite is a very different film. It's actually Spider-Man Homecoming. Even when I told this to Nona, he was like, wait, what? Are you sure you want to pick that? I'm like, no, it's just my favorite. Because, see, for me, the way how I consider this is that the favorite movie is not necessarily the best film. For me, the favorite film is the one which you will watch anytime, like anytime you want. Like, and for me, the one MCU movie that I would like put on at any time is Spider-Man Homecoming. And I actually went into Spider-Man Homecoming very skeptical because I was a huge fan of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Like, even though the movies weren't that great, I really liked him as Spider-Man. So when they sort of went forward and recasted him and brought a different sort of version in the MCU, I was kind of gutted. And I was really gutted for Andrew Garfield because I was like, I really wanted him to sort of get his own like story arc as Spider-Man. And it was a very incomplete story which we got in the Amazing Spider-Man series. So I was like, what are they doing with this? I mean, it's not going to be any good. They casted some young guy who looks like a kid as Spider-Man. How good is it going to be? But I think the entire direction that John Watts took with the Spider-Man movie, he sort of made this into a smaller film. He didn't really go embracing that very larger than life action scenes that we always associated Spider-Man with. He took it back to the root. He took it back to the root of the character. That teenager who's just trying to balance his life, who's just trying to balance his superheroics and school lives. And I really enjoyed the way how Spider-Man was portrayed in that movie. And it totally turned me around and really made me a huge fan of Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. And when you look at superhero movies, there's always a subgenre. Like if you take Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like a space opera superhero film. The best thing about Homecoming is that it's a coming of age superhero film. That's a beautiful story. It's a very human story because throughout the entire movie, you will actually have Peter just trying to impress Tony and just trying to sort of build sort of his superhero persona and sort of just trying to get into the Avengers. And you can see him almost forget the purpose of being Spider-Man. And in Civil War, he clearly says that, when people can do what I can do, and when you don't do that, that's not right. He says something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But anyway, basically in Homecoming, I feel it's a journey of Spider-Man sort of realizing his original vision of being this character. And for me, that's one of the reasons why I really like Homecoming. Like, just seeing the coming of age story where he's just trying to impress Tony Stark, but then towards the end, you see him taking matters into his own hand. But even then, he's not trying to be reckless. He's still trying to contact Tony Stark. It's only that he's put in a position where only he can do something right now. And there's a scene in Homecoming in the end, where Vulture basically basically flats a building on top of him, and there's a lot of debris on top of him, and then you literally have Spider-Man like holding it all together, and he's just a kid there. Like, he starts crying because he doesn't know what to do, and that was such a human moment. I can't think of any superhero movie that actually dived into something like that. The only moment I can think of is in Batman Begins, when Scarecrow sort of puts the gas at Batman. He sort of gets really terrified. But that scene in Spider-Man Homecoming where he's just holding the debris and he starts crying, and then you can see him look down at like sort of the puddle of water is formed, and he sees his mask in the floor and he sees his own reflection there, and then he starts saying, "Come on, Spider-Man, come on." Like, that moment for me was such a human moment, and that really connected with me so much. And even like that was actually another reason why I like that moment is also because that was actually a visual imagery of Steve Ditko in the Amazing Spider-Man comic, and that was brought into life in the movie. And this is like one of the times where, it was not just Stan Lee's influence, it was also Steve Ditko's influence that actually came into Spider-Man. That's why I really like that beautiful moment. Now, the last point I want to say is that for a film to work, the protagonist has to be very strong, but a very important part of a film is also the antagonist. And for me, Vulture, the way they develop this character, the arc of his character throughout the entire film, is something that I really love. Because if you look at many MCU films, the villain is always put aside because they're like, we don't really have much time to develop the villain. This is just what he is. But in Homecoming, they actually took the time to develop the character of Vulture. And he's not just a villain. You actually understand his point of view. And almost like that sort of not partnership, but the sort of alliance sort of that Spider-Man forms with Vulture in the end, where Vulture doesn't reveal his identity to everyone. I think that just creates a more layered villain moving forward. And for these points, I really like Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Great.
I think I spoke a lot.
Can I just say that was insanely well argued.
Zendaya as well.
Like I really want to revisit that film right now. The only, if I'm allowed to say, the only two issues I really had with Homecoming, which I want to get your thoughts on.
Wait.
No,
Not
no, too soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We'll get to that.
I'm gonna hide.
We'll get to that. Okay. Okay. Great, guys. Oh, I've covered everyone, guys. Yeah, I've done. Okay, everyone has spoken, guys. Okay.
Written down everything.
Yes, yeah, that was really great, guys. I hope you are having fun. Everyone in the chat, I hope you guys are having fun. And just wanted to point out two things. If you took the director's name, you get extra point. Some of you didn't. No, like only Manoj talked about a particular scene. No one else talked about a scene. Yeah, only Manoj did.
I talked about the introduction scene.
I talked about the airport scene.
Star-Lord's mother.
Like,
Yeah.
no one talked about dialogue. Okay, no one talked about the dialogues. Like some famous. If there's a best film, I hope
I
they
did.
have a
He
big
did, he
dialogue.
said-
I did.
Yeah. Accept him. That's why I'm
I
saying.
did.
So
Can I say the dialogue he referenced is in Civil War? That's how good that movie is. When the bad things happen, they happen big.
But yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so-
yeah. But I also said Homecoming. So come on, Spider-Man. That was a
You're-
dialogue.
okay.
It was only
Okay.
3 words, but that's a dialogue.
Everyone will
He
get
didn't
another
mention
chance.
about Zendaya. That's one. Problem.
Yeah. Okay. Shh. You should have said that.
He should have
Okay.
mentioned Zendaya.
Yeah. And yes, guys. So I hope you guys keep in mind all of these things so you can say it again when the next you get your turn. And just give you 30 seconds break again. Next, each of you will we'll start with Rohit, and all of you can start destroying Iron Man 3, and we'll go like that. So hopefully
that's not
Rohit
gonna
can
happen
defend
with
it.
me, man.
Hopefully Rohit can defend it.
Rohit,
and
don't worry, man. Don't worry. I won't say anything against it. I'll only support you.
So I'll give you
Are we
30
supposed
seconds. Yeah, go ahead.
Are we supposed to agree with the ones we agree with, or just talk about the ones we disagree with? Is that how?
Like each person, like I'll go to each person and they have to defend their films, and anyone has like to attack them with
Nona
their
wants
questions.
us to
so,
fight.
Yeah.
Nona wants us to fight.
No,
We are not
see,
gonna do that.
it's all friendly. See, it's all just having fun, nothing personal. So
I'm acting like Baron Zemo right now.
Yeah.
see, that's why I like Civil War. And you didn't talk about the villains, Sachin. Come on.
I did. I said it's one of the greatest villains.
Yeah,
You did?
he said.
Okay,
Yeah.
I missed that.
He said
Cool.
it's someone very powerless, but he was still able to break the Avengers.
Yeah, I think I missed that. Sorry. My
I think,
problem.
I think we need to judge the judger here.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't mention
You
the
can
ones.
you all can vote
but
for
that's
you can all
against
vote for
Nona.
me. You can vote after this to me if I was good or not. Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds. Just get ready. And the chat, let me know who you are supporting. There are six movies, 6 people here. Tell me who you are supporting. If you're enjoying it, do like, share, subscribe, and we'll do more of this in the future. Also, again, talking about a new channel I've been working on, Indian Geek Society. It's a new channel. We're putting out all geeky stuff, tech, Marvel, DC, comics, everything. So do subscribe that, link in the description. And let's hope maybe get 100 subscribers by the end of the stream. So hopefully you guys check it out. And moving on to the okay, first of all, let me know in the chat who are you supporting. Sachin, Jimmy and Ashmita. You guys do more of this often. Thank you. We'll do that. Come on, guys. Who are you supporting? Civil War. Okay.
Do we get
Guardians
to
of the
vote? Do we get to
Galaxy.
say who we think made the best argument?
At the end. At the end, we'll do that.
I'm thinking of voting of myself here. Like, I'll just type in the chat.
Great. Before we start, just want to talk about the films no one took. Like, we didn't have more people to represent them. I think the first Avengers, first of all, the first Iron Man, it sets it up beautifully, everything. Then the first Avengers is really good. And what else? I think Black Panther
Those are
is
too easy, I think.
Black Panther,
Yeah.
Endgame.
Yeah, Endgame, Infinity War, like we can argue about them, but definitely they are worth mentioning. Okay, so Rohit, are we ready? Are you ready, Rohit, to defend your film? Who wants to go first? Who wants to attack Iron Man 3 first?
I can go.
Go
Iron Man
ahead.
3 is a beautiful film without any flaws.
That's not how this works.
That's how we can win. We can beat him if we all just agree.
Okay, who wants to go take on him first?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, go.
Iron Man 3, I thought was. I don't think it's terrible. I thought it's one of the three categories of MCU films. I think it's one of those films that's fine. Like it works. It's interesting. It's nothing remarkable. I like what they tried to do, like you said, sort of reinvent the Iron Man franchise a bit. But I just felt that I like the idea of, it's about the man, not the mission. But there's like a lot of issues I had with it, just in terms of, first of all, stakes. Like, the biggest problem with some of these films is what happens when the world is ending in one film, but the other guys don't show up. Here you have like a president getting kidnapped and things like that, and they tried to keep it standalone, which was a bit annoying. I really did like the Mandarin twist of, they made him a joke and stuff. It was very sort of serviceable. It was fine. It didn't really stand out in any way, but I thought stakes was one of the issues.
Okay.
I think
Simran,
most
thank you
people
for
that
the
watched
super chat.
Endgame,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think most people that watched Endgame were kind of baffled about the ending when there was this little kid standing there, and I think a lot of people don't remember that kid. And I think one of the reasons is because Iron Man 3, I like the movie. I think it's a good Shane Black movie, but they did so many things in that movie that never play any role whatsoever in any of the following movies. And the connection with the kid is fine in that movie, but so much time has passed, and I think most people just forgot about it because it's not all that memorable. And I also have to say the thing with all the suits is a cool thing, and of course very fitting to Tony Stark, who's this inventor and mechanic. But at the same time, the stakes when you have all those flying suits with no people inside, it turns a little bit into a video game for me at the end. And I think those are points against the movie for me. And also the Mandarin twist is interesting, and I liked it. And I also have to say I don't have any connection to the comic character of the Mandarin, so I wasn't someone who was offended that it's totally different from the comics. I think it was a clever and funny idea. But at the same time, it then left us with Guy Pearce's villain character, and he is once again not the most memorable MCU villain for me. And those are my arguments.
Rohit,
Sorry,
wait. Let him defend those, if he wants to.
First of all, I feel there are some films in MCU I can't really.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the major things which the MCU plays on is basically there are a lot of things which you might not remember, but it subconsciously plays on the fact. For example, in Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
Him losing an eye is a direct comparison to Odin losing an eye. And it sets up the character for greater stakes. You might not realize it. Okay, here's the guy who appeared in the other film. See, we just brought him back. It's not like that. It's about his paranoia increasing. It's about laying those little seeds which will play out in the other films. So this is a film which makes the other films great.
Okay.
It's a groundwork. And it may not have the most memorable villain, but it gave John Watts a template to work with. Far From Home, Homecoming, literally Tony Stark's arch enemies coming back to the forefront and haunting him. That's literally what was done in Iron Man 3. It's a film which is ahead of its times.
Yeah.
And Shane Black also brought his signature humor to it, right? It brought a social commentary into the film. It brought higher stakes that, hey, maybe the enemies are internal. Maybe there's an internal conspiracy going. Maybe what you are thinking that something is external is not at all. It's just a distraction, which is happening in our country right now. The distractions are external. They tell us that, but the problems are internal. If you think about the larger vision of the film, the entire concept of the man being the mechanic, so he doesn't know he has done a lot of good through Harley's character, right? But there is a lot of good which comes back during the funeral scene in Endgame. It is not visually like, it's not like, hey, we brought him back or we brought him back. Look, he's that character from that film. It doesn't have to be like that all the time. it really showed us that MCU can actually lay groundwork very well, and they can play on the themes. Civil War is great because it played on Tony's paranoia. It played on his PTSD. It played on Age of Ultron is great because he thought that he needed a suit of armor around the world. These are themes which culminate beautifully in Iron Man 3. We see Rhodey being a good friend to Iron Man. We see Rhodey being a very good friend to him. Other than that, he was just a sidekick in a badass machine. So there is a lot to go for Iron Man 3, and that's my argument.
Okay. Anyone
I think
else?
one thing that was really interesting that he mentioned was in terms of Tony Stark's characterization and the different films that have explored different aspects of him, apart from I think the villain problem, I really think that the failure of the Iron Man movies, apart from the first one, is the best Tony Stark films, in my opinion, are not the Iron Man movies. I think Homecoming and the sort of his father figure aspect is really, really interesting. The way the Civil War approaches him is fascinating. Age of Ultron, the first Avengers movies, I think in terms that that character was best explored in films that weren't his own, and his own franchise, his own standalone films didn't do for that character what the team up movies did for him. Where I just thought there's so much more they could have done. You know, a few scenes in Civil War did more for me for Iron Man than Iron Man 3.
Okay.
In terms of like depth of the character, I feel that Iron Man 3 did explore a really nice, a really deep aspect of Tony Stark. You know, he's struggling with himself. I think I like that aspect of Iron Man 3. My only issue was with the Mandarin. It was a good idea, though I feel that even if Guy Pearce was, revealed as the Mandarin, I did not feel the impact of it. Like how even Guy Pearce was, say, just a human being who was insulted by Tony Stark. But him versus, say, a character like Zemo, who literally doesn't have any powers, I felt him like, yeah, he's coming from a very dark place. He's the villain. I felt that sort of connection with Zemo, which I couldn't feel it with the Mandarin. So that's why I think the movie I felt a little disconnected at that point of time in the movie. Otherwise, I think what they explored with Tony's character, I was quite okay with that.
Okay.
I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel Tony really is a man with a lot of riches. He's literally the Batman of the MCU, right? That's what I'm saying. But he really needs somebody like a Hush, right? If you have read the Hush comic book arc of Batman, right? He needs somebody at an equal footing. You can't really have a Baron Zemo being an underdog. Then a lot of the story, right, will not be. And MCU villains are not really the best. But here we see a guy who was so put down by Tony, especially the earlier Tony, the Merchant of Death Tony, who didn't know. He owned so many things that he didn't know where he stood. And when he actually went to that cave, he's like, is this my legacy? We really see that Tony coming back. And that's what the character is about. He's a character who's haunted by guilt. And here you see his country, right, being threatened on a national level. Like literally the president is kidnapped and hung from a suit. Even though I think it's a bit over the top, honestly. But I feel it's literally a culmination of Tony's worst fears. The climax is a celebration of whatever Tony Stark wanted to overcome. So I feel Aldrich Killian may not be a great villain, but he was the necessary villain. So yeah.
Okay.
I think Iron Man 3 in many ways it works as a continuation of the Iron Man franchise, but it doesn't quite work as a part of the MCU because like Iron Man 3 it sort of ends with all the suits being destroyed, and there's a sense of finale to his character where he walks, he has done that surgery, he's got the like whatever thing that was there in his heart out, and then he's walking and he says that I am Iron Man. But then we go straight to Age of Ultron where, we have all these suits, he's kind of back, and you're like, that was just a temporary kind of thing, I'm now back. So like I feel like in many ways Iron Man 3 is a good kind of standalone kind of a movie. It's a Christmas movie. I think it's one of the very few movies set in Christmas in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, kind of. And one thing I just want to point out was there's this amazing aeroplane stunt I think they pulled out with a lot of practical elements where they do a rescue mission in air, and that was a wonderful like scene, like the way they shot that. And also I think Iron Man 3 is a visual spectacle, and I think it's a nice expansion to Tony Stark's character, but I don't think it does much for the MCU as a whole.
Cool. So
I already mentioned the point while talking to Suchin that it lays the groundwork, because many films in MCU, right, they just jump from one thing to the other, and they're jumping so many characters. It's sometimes nice to take a breather of a film, right? Where you can actually explore characters, you can actually go into relationship dynamics, right? Like in Homecoming, Tony is just seen as a guy, you shouldn't have this suit, lol, psych. And then he's a character like that in Homecoming. He's just, hey, Tony Stark is also in the film. It's a USP of the film, right? That's why they brought him in, not because he was supposed to be a great father figure. And then it just worked out in the film. And then a lot of the things are not as planned as they seem, but yeah, a lot of things work in your favor. It's a lot like editing, maybe, where you make a certain cut and you're like, oh shit, this is a masterpiece. And then that's what happens, right? A lot of things are strokes of luck. And I feel, yeah, that's my point, right? This actually laid the groundwork for all those parallel threads running together about Tony. That's what makes Tony a compelling character. When he snaps his fingers and he goes like, I am Iron Man. That's literally Iron Man 3's ending line. Iron Man 3 did it first.
No, Iron Man 1 did it first.
Iron Man 1.
Iron Man.
Iron Man 1, yeah, but
At the end of Iron Man.
Yes, I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man, but yeah, like
Iron
it
Man.
literally got into the essence of the character, right?
Oh no, it's from Iron Man 1.
No, but Iron
This is what he wants.
We need a fact
Fire.
checker here.
Nona said, I think
So according to the Marvel Wikipedia,
but you can't change one thing. I am Iron Man.
yeah, okay, I got your point.
He said
Okay.
that line a lot. I think he repeats himself. It's repetitive dialogue. That's all.
Yeah. He looks at the mirror every day and he goes, I am Iron Man.
Yeah, that's my defense.
So I think now from Iron Man, let's go to Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Ashmita, who wants to attack the Winter Soldier?
attack me.
I just want to say that it's a fantastic movie, and there's literally no grounds to attack you. Like genuinely, just a great one. Yeah, there's nothing. It's great. I almost want to vote for you.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, +1 to Ashmita.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is actually really.
It is the most critically acclaimed film of the MCU. I mean, I can't
I
think of any
Black
flaws. The
Panther
only
is the
flaws. I'm in phase 2.
Okay.
See,
Yeah, that's
the
probably
only
true.
sort of critique I think, the only sort of critique you could probably think of is the fact that once he's revealed to be Bucky, he never puts on the mask again, which is a bit weird. Like in sense of the narrative, I guess it makes sense, but like, why would he not put the mask back on? Like, even though his identity is revealed. So that's probably the only critique I think I have against the Winter Soldier. Other than that, it's a fantastic film.
From a network standpoint, I think Russo brothers just decided, okay, this is enough. We have shown how cool the Winter Soldier is. We have established,
Yeah.
and now we can just reveal him.
And like a handsome man like Sebastian Stan, why would you put him under a mask? So it makes sense in that point. But look, I think overall, I think Winter Soldier, it broke a lot of new ground in being a political sort of thriller, kind of following the footsteps of The Dark Knight a little bit, and diving into different themes. So I think Winter Soldier is great. I can't really think of a lot of criticisms against that movie.
I think.
It was also like, sorry.
No, say go on, Sachin. Go on.
No, I was just going to say it's one of the most grounded. Like I remember watching it. It's one of the first like, whoa! I didn't realize just how different the MCU can be films, and also it was so grounded. Like it's not flashy otherworld space. No, it literally is like a sort of tense spy thriller. And I thought it has some of the most memorable set pieces of the MCU. Action scenes, but it really blended the action and the story so well. Like everything is so rooted in emotion. It really, they're not just like, it's not fun for the sake of it. So I mean, yeah, just a fantastic film.
But we have to come up with something here.
People,
Otherwise, you will win this easily. So,
If no one comes up with a critique,
too short. It could have been
if
longer.
no one comes up with a critique, we end it here. Come
I'm
on.
sure Rohit is waiting to attack me right now.
I defeated. I just defended Aldrich Killian. What do you expect?
He wins just for that.
Like the only thing is, I knew who the Winter Soldier was because I read the graphic novels and all. So I was like, dude, Nick Fury with one eye can see this coming. Like, don't do this. Like, I knew this guy was like Bucky Barnes coming back, right?
But I think everyone knew that. It was relatively. I haven't read the comics, but it was quite obvious. I mean, that mask is not fooling anyone.
In fact, when I watched the trailer, I said this has to be Bucky
Yeah,
Barnes.
from the trailer you knew that.
But I felt like it's making that scene very dramatic, right? At least felt a bit shoehorned for me.
I
I don't
think
know, maybe the treatment of that scene completely.
for me, I think that particular thing where he was revealed, I feel it maybe in its defense that I think that particular scene, maybe it should have been dramatic because it's Bucky after all. I mean, Captain America and Bucky go way, way back, and he literally thought he was dead. I mean, if I see somebody alive whom I thought for so many years was dead, I'll probably have the same reaction. I, in fact, have a much more dramatic reaction than what Captain America,
I also think it's to the credit of the film that we basically all knew that was Bucky. Cap didn't. So you would think it's going to be a boring scene for us, but just because of his reaction, it really made that scene work because we had the information he didn't, and you think, okay, fine, catch up. But it still worked. It's still because the Cap, felt it, and so
yeah.
I would have liked a more breadcrumbs approach where they are like actually there is a lot of mystery and it plays out like a spy thriller. Like I'm really trying to find points, honestly. But
he caught the shield. He caught the shield. That's all I'm saying.
Chris Evans throws the shield and he just
I really like it, but
can't get over that scene.
But
Also the elevator scene.
But this is a person.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
That I would have liked a more breadcrumb approach because it's already a spy thriller. I would have liked him to find from maybe what's his name? The guy in the bunker. Basically, you want to play a game.
Dr. Zolo.
Solo?
Dr. Armin Zola.
Yeah.
Right? His character was wasted, I feel. Like, dude just blows up in an explosion.
What I loved about that was, I mean, from my understanding of the comics, that character is a weird machine that's hovering around. It's like a very freaky thing. The fact that they transposed that to, it really kept that edgy spy thriller thing. He's a supercomputer. It's about sort of surveillance. And I just thought it was such a scary scene. You had the way that they were interacting and the fact that they made it an artificial intelligence, not some weird floating inflated face. I really liked that little bit.
For me, what it did for the character of Chris Evans is that because before this, he was completely like, he was a soldier and he had this one-dimensional thinking that, I have to follow orders and this and that. But I think when he realized that, Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and his worldview completely changes that, okay, it's not black and white and it is gray. And that's such a great basis for his character change to Civil War, that how he completely goes against the government. So I think that transition shown by Chris Evans was great. That thing, plus I think this movie explored a lot this concept of trust, where he really now actually trusts his aides, like somebody like Falcon or Black Widow whom wouldn't have trusted at the first meet. But I think he really comes to an understanding that no, these are my allies and these are not my allies. So I think that shift in his character was something very well written by Russo brothers. And yes, I used to watch Community. I absolutely couldn't believe that it is these two people who have directed this movie. Because Community is actually one of my favorite series. It's really nice.
I think the point is that Captain America believes in humans instead of corporations or authorities.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
I thought
there are
of
two.
one critique right
okay,
now.
go ahead.
Like, but it's not much. It's okay. It's kind of like they introduced Sharon Carter, and then they don't like there is this sort of romantic sort of thing built in. Like it seems very unnecessary. Like if you take her out of the story, also it doesn't really do much. And then in Civil War, also it progresses in a way. And in the end game, they do a complete like U-turn of that. So that's probably one of my critiques. Like they did put an unnecessary character over there that was probably not really required.
I think that's also fair. Also,
The soldier, why Sharon Carter's character is important because she's there.
Also, can I just say how creepy is it that they had a romantic angle when like
Sort of.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
slept with your aunt? Like I don't know how that
Yeah,
works.
romance.
Come on, you have seen Game of Thrones. Come on.
But that was a weird. That was I think one of the moments where you could say that they didn't have that much oversight on where Cap's character would end up.
Sharon Carter like was, so it's fine. Like give Cap a break. He and then he went into the ice and then woke up in the hospital.
So the only thing he's attracted to is that family tree. Is that his thing?
I'm like, how do you explain that to Peggy, right?
Yeah.
You don't.
For dinner table conversation, like
That's why that's how she got Alzheimer's when she found out.
Yeah.
He thought it's better to have Alzheimer's.
yeah, that's gonna be Captain America's comeback, a divorce, I guess.
Okay, we have some critique from the chat. There is no Iron Man in Winter Soldier. That's the only flaw. Okay, hold this. Black Widow was there just to make space for her in Avengers.
No, I'll defend that.
It's one of
I
the best
don't-
Black Widow movies.
I think Black Widow is, such a not important character. I think she's one of the most powerful characters in the MCU, and it really sort of pisses me off when people don't give her credit. And literally, she doesn't have any power. She has such amazing combat abilities, and she holds her ground. I feel she just holds her ground. And Scarlett Johansson has done, I think, absolute justice to the character.
I would like to add.
But
to
can
that. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go.
No, I would just like to add to that because that sort of theme of trust, it sort of comes into play with her character as well. Because towards the end of the movie, you can see that she is sort of exposing the things that's happening within Shield, and also I think she gets to do a lot more than in Age of Ultron, where it's just she just singing lullabies to Hulk. So I think she does a lot better in the Winter Soldier than in the Avengers movies.
And I even feel Joss Whedon hypersexualized that character a lot, like a lot of graphic novels do, right? And what the Russo did with her is something really beautiful, especially when during that conversation with Cap in Endgame, I feel that is really a culmination of Winter Soldier and her betraying the team in Civil War.
Yeah.
I feel what the Russos did from Community, of course, is very different. So I really love Natasha's arc. And now
Cool.
I think Black Widow is the most underserved character in the entire MCU. She really deserves a lot better. And I think Winter Soldier is arguably the best Black Widow film, and all of the Russo movies really did at least some justice to her, and hopefully her film will also help.
In fact, when Civil War came, at that point I thought that Black Widow should get a standalone film with
Should have.
very little.
And now,
but it's
because
like
of
better.
COVID, it's stuck. Okay, Sandeep, you want to add something? Or critique or anything?
Yeah, I was just
You like the
listening to
film?
all you guys. Yeah, I like the film, but the major letdown was there was no Doctor Strange in the film. Yeah.
That is a reference though, right?
There's a reference.
Yeah,
Stephen
that's-
Strange.
One reference.
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense
Why?
because at that time,
Oh.
No, so that basically that machine was to detect the potential people who would get supernatural powers. Or,
He never had them. He was just an asshole.
yeah.
I think I should have
think-
rewatched this. I don't remember.
No, I think Hydra was just detecting people like Tony Stark. So they were like, there it is. Stephen Strange.
So if they killed all the assholes, that's not a bad thing. We should support Hydra.
Cool, guys. I think
Hail Hydra.
you all have just dug your own graves by just not critiquing the film.
Yes.
Moving on.
We did. I think we did our best.
anything
Honestly, like.
Civil War. It's not to nitpick in Civil War. Literally. It's
There's
one of
only
my,
one
like,
thing.
another-
There's just one thing Ashmita hasn't talked about yet. It was raised in the discussion, but she hasn't talked about it, so I'll consider that because no one raised a point. So, okay, moving on to.
What's the point?
I'll not reveal it. I'll reveal it at the end. Okay, moving on to Jimmy. Guardians of the Galaxy. Do we have something?
this-
Which is the only movie that's better than Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is actually my number 2, and there's only one thing that's better.
Nicely done, Jimmy. Nicely done. I like
But
that.
it's actually the truth, not just for the sake of the argument.
I think Guardians is one of the greatest Marvel achievements. Like the very fact that you took a bunch of weird characters that nobody cares about, and you fall in love with them. It's one of the most entertaining films. It's one of the funniest Marvel films. I have a lot of problems with Guardians 2 because I thought it was the same thing again, but I think Guardians is one of the best. I really don't think there's much you can go on.
I'm really not gonna attack the only film I have brought an iTunes score for. Okay, I'm really not gonna do that because that film is what made
It's
me.
difficult to attack good MCU films. You really.
Can you imagine the pitch for that film? Like just the casting of let's get Chris Pratt, who's like a weird comedy character. Let's get a wrestler. Let's get Vin Diesel to play a tree who has one word. Get Brad Pitt to play a raccoon with personality. Like just it shouldn't work, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And also the filmography of James Gunn is really
weird,
kind of crass and not
Scooby-Doo
weird
movies.
and not
Scooby-Doo movies. Like,
Scooby-Doo,
how would you? Marvel gave like 175 million to a guy who directed Scooby-Doo movies to make space opera movies about characters that even Stanley didn't know who they were. Like it's so weird, but it still worked.
Genuinely. And again, great set pieces, great action. I mean, the comedy, the soundtrack.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, the only negative you could probably say is probably the dance off. Like maybe they went a little bit too silly, but I loved the dance off.
I absolutely love
They
that.
did something different. They did something different with their dance off, and it all,
true.
ties back to Star-Lord's past and his passion. And
Yeah,
it also came out 1 year before Star Wars came back, which I think is also a cool thing because Guardians of the Galaxy was like a different kind of space opera before everybody fell in love with Star Wars again and then fell out of love, I guess. But yeah.
I think the only issue I remember having with it the first time I watched it was I couldn't take Ronan seriously as a villain. I just felt campy. Like it was almost like a cartoon villain. But maybe that's what they were going for. But yeah, he was just a villain who was the villain.
he didn't have much depth.
Yeah, that film was much more. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
That film was much more like a cartoon for me as well. Like there's a bunch of guys who's trying to prove who's the funniest in the room. And they're trying to be cool. I don't think that the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise had the core MCU element that connected all other movies. It was just a fun, one party movie. It wasn't serious as like compared to other movies.
Like I enjoyed it, but I really never cared for the stakes. When I was watching it for the first time, I said, "Oh wow, this is so much fun, and I'm really enjoying this. Okay, let me just enjoy it." I pretty much don't want to think about how it will connect to the MCU.
And you're not supposed
I usually used to do when I was watching the other films.
You're not supposed to care about the stakes because frankly the characters don't.
Yeah.
But I think the personal stakes are quite high, and Star-Lord is such a relatable character with the loss of his mother when he was just a small boy, and I think it beautifully comes together in the end with them all holding hands in that moment. The thing he couldn't do as a child because he was afraid and he didn't know what was happening to his mom. And regarding Ronan, I kind of agree. And I think he's not one of the best MCU villain, but at the same time, the performance of Lee Pace is so comical and over the top, and his makeup is so great and self-aware, exactly. And this giant ship and how he's sitting there, and I think all those elements kind of elevates him. He's not that special in what he wants to achieve. It's just another kind of he wants to be all powerful. But I think that the campiness of it all is so much fun, and therefore, I still think he's more memorable than a lot of other MCU villains.
Also, just in terms of the film being silly for the sake of it and like not having much depth, one thing I didn't get from the film, but I read about it after, and I think it's quite interesting, is James Gunn said the film is basically about pain. It's about people who have been through insane trauma.
Yeah.
And all of them have been through hell, and like how they use humor to process that. And I thought that was very interesting. That's why they sort of tied Thor to this, because even he's been through so much shit. He's become a clown. So I thought that was a very interesting perspective to make this more real than just taking them as people trying to be funny, but actually it comes from a place of real pain.
Yeah. I think for me that's
and I think
what
just the Guardians.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Guardians of the Galaxy are kind of the special ingredient for me in the whole MCU because they injected such an amount of craziness and weird characters, and now the connection with Thor, the S Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever the title will be, it's I think they add such a special spice to the whole thing.
I think that's what works for me also. You know, the being so funny. I think the most funny Marvel film, and then being so emotional at moments. Like, you know, the characters have gone through so much. You know their pain. Each and every one of them lost something. So I think it just emotionally connects. And I think Ronin being not being that great. You have you established 5 characters, and the villain is okay. It's like not that bad, and you know you have a whole film. So I think it works all around. Great. So
I don't think being funny isn't that. Yeah.
No, it is intentional, right? Like, they want to make it funny. They want to make it silly. It's not, oh, they were trying to be serious and oh, it looks funny.
But that's what it makes me disconnected from other MCU movies. Like towards the end, there's one scene where he dances on the face of the villain, and the villain asks, "What are you doing?" I kind of felt like that was kind of. It was more like a normal cliche comedy movie. It was.
I've never seen that scene in any other movie. I thought it was very
fresh,
especially
unexpected
science fiction movie.
Guys, we need. Yeah.
I mean, for different audiences. For different audiences, it'll connect in different ways. So, I mean, a scene that would be like funny and cool for some people might be cringy for other people. So, it's perfectly normal to have different opinions on that.
See, but also, I can completely see that if anyone didn't connect with that...
That scene is actually really good.
Sorry.
No, I mean, that scene is actually good, but I just want to point out that it doesn't fit to the MCU thing. That's all. I mean, I just want to... make a statement against Jimmy for this movie. Actually, this movie is really nice. I agree. I just want to make a statement. That's why.
You're at least trying to play the game here.
But just think about it. It just makes the whole movie like a typical rom-com. I mean, a sitcom. Yeah.
But in your defense, I can completely see that if somebody didn't connect with that silly humor, it is the most annoying movie. I can completely see that if you don't connect with it,
it's going to be like a cringe fest for that person.
Yeah. Completely. So I get that perspective.
But I also feel Guardians of the Galaxy, like literally every Marvel movie is about there goes a giant beam into the sky, everything's gonna be destroyed. And how can you put a twist on that?
Right.
I never saw a dance battle coming. I was like, I was down for it. Like, yeah.
Yes.
And that theater was literally laughing their butts off. We were laughing so much. I remember.
It's so funny.
It was so much fun.
And
without the dance,
that was a distraction.
without the dance of finale, I'm not sure if there would have been the Doctor Strange finale with the trick by Stephen Strange, because that's also kind of unexpected and out of the ordinary, and I think that's kind of mirrors the dance off in a different way.
I thought the Doctor Strange ending was pretty terrible, but we'll come to that when we talk about Doctor Strange.
Okay, I think that's the best segue.
I just want to say one thing. Okay, sorry about this segment. Like, I just want to say one thing that, you know, James Gunn pulled off a finale dance off better than Farah Khan did in Happy New Year. Like,
he wins.
Dude, don't. Let's not go there. Okay, next, Sandeep, you have to defend Doctor Strange. Attack.
Yes.
Okay, attack. So
I'll just put out something. The film's biggest success is its stunning visual effects. You know, like I think you have like it reminds me of the rotating scene from Inception, where the screen rotates, or on the Matrix movies. Like, its biggest success is visual effects.
Finally, you talked about it.
Now you can. Yeah.
Okay.
You can
attack, guys.
I think my biggest problem with Doctor Strange is that it's too similar to Iron Man, to the first Iron Man, to the character of Iron Man. His arc is pretty comparable to that of Tony Stark. He's this big, arrogant guy who has to find a way to learn to use the power for something good. And the whole movie is very formulaic. And also, you talked a little bit about the cast, and I think Rachel McAdams is kind of wasted in the movie.
Completely.
And Mads Mikkelsen is also another very shallow, very throwaway villain. You talked about the ending with Dormammu and that little twist I liked a lot, but the actual villain of the movie is Mads Mikkelsen's character, and he's once again kind of forgettable, I think.
You literally had Hannibal as the villain. How could you wait?
Genuinely, like he's like, I feel like a normal conversation with him would be creepy as hell. And here he's in makeup with nothing to do.
The only movie which made me feel comfortable with his character was Another Round. Right. Which released Another Round. It's a Danish.
Oh, the recent, the alcohol film.
The Oscar, yeah.
I overall see as a standalone film, I enjoyed it. It's not like I didn't enjoy it, but it felt like any other origin story, like how Spider-Man Homecoming was given a twist where it was very rooted and his struggles with high school, and other MCU movies. This story should have been also treated in a different way because Doctor Strange is a very important character in the MCU, and I agree with Jimmy that it actually felt like the in the similar path of the Iron Man origin story. So that was my biggest issue.
Sorry.
No, please speak, Sachin.
No, I think Doctor Strange is one of my least favorite MCU films. I think I have a lot of issues with it. Number one, there are a lot of defining films that expand the MCU, like Guardians took it to space and gave us this whole new world to explore. What Doctor Strange should have done is give us the world of the mystical, magical world. And I thought it did it so poorly. I thought we barely got a sense of that world, how it functions. I didn't understand the rules at all. Dark universe, mirror universe. It didn't really make sense. Even the visuals annoyed me because they were fantastic for the sake of it. Like, in Inception, there's logic to why you have a city bending. It really is rooted in the story. Here, you just have people messing with stuff to make it look cool without any reason in that sense. I thought the only memorable thing for me in that film is a cape with personality, which I think says it all. It had some of the best actors who had nothing to do. Rachel McAdams, then Michael Stuhlbarg, Mads Mikkelsen, Tilda Swinton was great. But yeah, I mean, I just thought that they really didn't know what to do with these guys. And yeah, I mean, the best parts of that film are just fine. It was just, Benedict Cumberbatch playing that role again, that, Downey character. And it was pretty disappointing. I think, yeah.
You want to defend that?
I feel Scott Derrickson is a very good director when it comes to horror, right? Because Sinister was a very, very popcorn film, but the investigative angle gave it a very nice thing, gave it a very nice aspect, and I think his Multiverse of Madness would have been a good thing. I'm pretty sure Raimi will make it very quirky, but
yeah, it's coming. Winter is coming. He's gonna hit back with the Multiverse of Madness.
But there is a sequence,
I
right?
think that will be the new portal for all the next future Marvel MCU phases. I think Doctor Strange is gonna be that guy who's gonna twist everything. Maybe he'll bring up all the creatures from the other universe. We are hearing rumors about the Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire is coming back. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because of Doctor Strange. Who knows?
Maybe he'll make a good Doctor Strange movie.
I'm gonna miss those sequences where Strange is caught within like a wall of hands, and all the hands start to grapple him. Like that must have been traumatizing for children. But I really like horror aspects. Like I really love horror. So I really like how it was delving with horror a bit by bit. But Kevin Feige was like,
yeah.
no.
I would say that this was the very first movie that made me like go in full awe, like in 3D. I haven't seen any visual effects like this anywhere in the MCU. Yeah, I mean, the story may have been cliche, like its origin story. People like similar people are there, so you can do anything with that.
Cliche.
But when I was watching it on theaters, I think this was a very well made. And it was a treat for my eyes. And it had really good humor as well. Not like sitcom Guardians of the Galaxy.
But I remember what Sachin said for Iron Man, like how the standalone movies did not do any justice to him, and actually the movies that he was paired with, the Avengers and the team up movies. I think Doctor Strange got his Infinity War, where we actually saw his potential, his character arc. I think I loved Doctor. Like it was like the MVP for me in Infinity War was Doctor Strange. I never expected it to happen.
I fully agree with that. I mean, it's one of the few things I like about Infinity War. It's the best Doctor Strange movie. I finally got a sense of his deal, who he is, what he can do. The only other thing I want to say about Doctor Strange, the film is, the ending wise, I didn't really get it. It was DC does this a lot. They just do villains that's just big giant CGI blob.
Yeah.
And again, Doctor Strange did that. I mean, Marvel villains, at least there's some effort put in. This was big CGI blob, and it's like, I got you. like I don't. That was the whole thing. It's like, fair enough.
You want to defend anything?
In Infinity War, I would have
I felt
the movie, the origin story.
Like there was a quite lot of points against the film, but you haven't defended any.
Maybe it's just me, but do you guys notice that in ensemble film, every character just gets quippier? That's something I don't like. Every character gets an upgrade boost, and like I have never seen Doctor Strange this stronger. I get that, but like the time gap for me, right, between Infinity War and Doctor Strange, and then again Multiverse of Madness. I know he's a genius and all, but I don't know, it's too much.
All his development has happened off screen.
I felt that too. I think in Infinity War.
It's not organic.
Yeah, in Infinity War he feels like too much now, but that the film didn't explore that he's so strong and so fell short.
And we just went with it as an audience. We were like, yeah, he can do all.
That's what Marvel does.
That's sad that they had a bland origin story. Then off screen he becomes amazing in one Thor cameo, and then he comes back, and then we like him when he has power. He's more interesting. So yeah, if the best thing about your character is stuff that we can't even see, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I genuinely hang out with a guy who can just refill my beer glasses, like hands down.
That's the best defense.
Okay, guys, moving on. We have what we have left. Let's go to Civil War. Guys,
No complaints.
that's not how you start. This round, no one understood the point of this round.
Actually, my little gripe would be that because this is such a huge, because there is such a big divide, I felt the whole argument of UN wanting to monitor the Avengers because they have done so much collateral damage and stuff while saving the world. I just don't get the point. Even if they are under the command of UN and they go to a mission and save the world, there will be collateral damage. Where was this argument given that, okay, if you are coming under us, if we monitor you, there's going to be zero collateral damage. So that part did not make sense to me.
I don't think the issue is collateral damage. I think the issue is they want to save the day wherever they think. They will go wherever they think the problem is. The UN wanted to say, no, you will go where we say you can go. So if there's
we would
a
assess the
country
situation and then we would
so there might be countries that we don't want you to save, or there might be countries where, like, I think this fire in America is more important than that civil war in that country. Like, you're just basically giving them all power.
Yeah. And honestly, like, Ultron was created by the Avengers, so it's all about, I think, responsibility. Like, who takes responsibility of your actions? Like, Tony Stark and Hulk should be in jail for creating Ultron. So, like, I think it's that.
True. See, my only sort of go.
Yeah, Manoj.
Yeah. So okay, my critique of Civil War, it's not to do with the plot of the movie or anything like that. It's more to do with the character of Iron Man, because we are introduced to Iron Man in a sequence where, in a very beautiful sequence of de-aging, where you see what his parents meant to Iron Man. Like you see a sequence like that, and then after that we are not told anything about that. And then when we go to the climax, for the thing that actually pulls him into a fight is when he sees his parents' footage. Like when he sees that Winter Soldier was the one who killed his parents. Now, my issue is not the fact that, obviously, like, if you see a footage like that, you would get really angry. Okay, but for me, I never felt a connection between Tony Stark and his parents in any of the movies. Like, it was only in Iron Man 2 where, I felt like, okay, yeah, sure, he had some connection with his dad. But it was only actually in Endgame where, you had that moment between Tony and his dad that you were like, oh, it's a very nice moment. But when I was watching Civil War, when that moment sort of came in, I was like, I understand, I get what's happening, and it's much better than BVS. Like, it feels much more organic here. But I still felt a little bit of disconnect between him throwing that first punch at Cap, and that fight, that initiation of the fight, and it always bugs me a little. Like whenever I watch Civil War, that small thing. Maybe if they'd built it up a little bit more throughout the movie, that his relationship with his parents, maybe I would have felt a little bit more emotionally. But that's only my critique. Like that's the only story point that I don't like of Civil War.
I think that's a really fair point. I guess from the film's perspective, they were hoping that first scene, acknowledged that. The only other thing I'd say is you're right. We don't get a sense of the dad till the end game, but I guess if you just say that this character killed my parents, that you would assume that's enough for motivation. Also, like it's one of the few twists. Like somebody mentioned Bucky, and it was so obvious that he was Winter Soldier. I genuinely did not see the twist of Bucky having killed Tony's parents. I thought it was a great twist.
And they showed that scene where he stops that car and kills it 3 times in the whole film. And we don't understand it.
True.
But also, just even the way he kills the parents is like very graphic.
That's brutal.
And
brutal.
You're gonna flip.
Yeah, genuinely. And also, Tony is literally the most erratic character. He's the most emotional. He's the smartest and the dumbest. He's the guy who's either going to destroy the world or save it. There's nothing in between.
True.
And so you so believe that he's that emotional. And the reason I really bought his fight with Cap is he wasn't trying to hurt Cap. He was trying to hurt the Bucky. Obviously, Cap's going to get in the way. So it just... to build that fight and make it feel organic, I thought it was quite well done. Also, I just want to mention the directors, the Russo brothers. I want to mention the production designer, just every credit, because we get points for that. It was produced by Kevin Feige. I can go through the cast with 40 names, whatever you want.
Okay, coming to Manoj's point.
Wait a second. We have to talk a little bit more about Civil War. First of all, it's an absolutely amazing movie, and it's in my top 5 probably of the MCU. So I'm just saying these things for the sake of the argument here. The first thing is Spider-Man is super awesome, and I'm happy they got the rights back and introduced him to the MCU. But I think you can totally feel that the movie was actually pretty much thought out, and then they got the rights, and then the movie kind of stops, and hey, we have another guy that we can bring to this fight, and then he shows up. Of course, it's an absolutely fantastic moment, and everybody's losing their shit in the cinema. But when you talk about the unity of the story and the film, it's kind of okay. Now it stops. Now we go to New York. There's the scene, and then he shows up. It's totally fine. It's just a minor thing. And the second thing, we talk a lot about story, characters, arcs, themes, and stuff like that. But when it comes to the visuals, I think a lot of the MCU is kind of very shallow looking and kind of downright ugly at times. And there's this great video essay on YouTube. Some guy, I think the title is like, why does the MCU look so ugly or stuff like that?
Yeah.
And a lot has to do with the color grading. And I think Civil War is one of those movies where really I love the movie so much, and I think it would be even better if it would look more amazing, because it's so gray. The whole airport scene in Germany, it looks so
plastic.
gray and plastic.
It looks like a set. It looks like a set. That's the biggest problem.
But it's not. But it's not even a set. So they I think a lot of it's actually on location. But because it's so the image is so flat, they are so the contrast is so shallow, and this pretty much applies to all MCU movies. Even Guardians of the Galaxy could pop a lot more visually, but I think in Civil War it's really
that's where Doctor Strange rocks.
Even there, I think with all the magic going on, I was expecting more.
I think flat in Doctor Strange.
I think Infinity War, they did a better job with the colors and all.
Much better job.
Yeah.
But in Endgame, again, I felt it went a little bit backward, especially in the final battle.
So I think the visual aspect is very interesting in the sense that I think for the airport scene for Endgame, there are so many people who love criticizing that stuff, and you can see where they're coming from. Obviously, the film sort of just is hoping in that the spectacle of it all and the emotion will be enough, and obviously it is enough. But yeah, I completely get it that anyone can say that Endgame finale is just big CGI mess, and they're not wrong. But somebody lifts up the hammer, and that's enough for us. So it's a tough one.
Yeah. I just want to take... okay, I'll come back to all the films again. Okay, Homecoming. Attack Homecoming,
and
guys.
And the fact that Civil Wars...
Guys, don't.
No, he's saying something. Rohit.
And the fact that Civil Wars Aftermath is still felt to this day in WandaVision, right?
Yeah.
For the mistakes you did.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true.
So yeah.
Coming to Homecoming.
That's how great the film is. Right?
I love
Homecoming is the best movie. Guys, repeat after me.
Yeah,
Homecoming is the
Homecoming.
best movie.
It's not even the best Spider-Man movie. So it's not even the best Spider-Man movie. How can it be the best movie of the MCU?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was not aware of Tom that much, and I think he really exceeded my expectations there. Because with Spider-Man, all of us, there is nobody who will go with a blank slate. Everybody knows Spider-Man. Everybody will go with some sort of expectation that okay, this is how the character was supposed to be. And I think I don't remember, especially okay, Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, but he didn't look like a teenager. Honestly, he acted well, but I never felt that he was Spider-Man. For me, Tobey Maguire was always Spider-Man, and I never thought somebody could dethrone Tobey. So I think Tom Holland did that for me, and that's why I think Homecoming had a big impact. But yeah, I have no complaints with Homecoming. I really like that.
Guys, my
I can think
hands
of
are
a few.
itching.
Yeah.
Please, someone.
I can think of you.
Homecoming, yes.
I really like Homecoming, but Far From Home was a little disappointing.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
agree.
I feel
For me,
Far From
they're-
Home was better than Homecoming for me. Like,
No, I disagree. Hey, you're
I
a
think-
judge.
yeah.
Keep quiet.
I appreciate your perspective, but you're wrong. A couple of issues I had with Homecoming was, first of all, it's slightly franchise fatigue, but they've done Spider-Man so many times, and I don't think this is the best one. I'm not saying it's the worst. They're all different. They all have their merits, which annoys me because I just don't feel like, okay, no, this was the greatest one. I really did like the point you made about this which is what they were trying to do. They really got that high school, I'm a kid, but I have superpowers. They did that thing really well. The only two other issues I had with it was the consistency thing. In Civil War, I thought it was a fantastic character introduction. I love the whole Tony. That one scene did so much for me. Powers, I have a real big gripe when a character is really powerful in one film and not in the other. So like Spider-Man is kicking ass in Civil War. He's holding his own against Cap and all these other guys. And here, because they were trying to do that teenager thing, he's crashing against fences and stuff, which I felt that backtracked a bit. And yeah, I just thought Iron Man's character, they really backtracked on all the progress they made into how messed up he was in Civil War. Like he lost Pepper and stuff. Suddenly they're back together. Suddenly everything's great. So that annoyed me a bit. But yeah, apart from that,
I would like to take it individually so that like when one person opposes, I like address his points
Yeah,
and go to
yeah,
the
yeah.
next person. I hope that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, you made some really good points about like Spider-Man, but first when you said about the power set, I like to believe that in Civil War, especially in that airport sequence, I feel like there was a lot of hold back. I feel like other than Black Panther, who was really into the fight, who really wanted to get them like get Cap arrested, I feel like there was a little bit of hold back between the other characters because there was a little bit of like, it was almost like a sparring match a little bit. That's why
Yeah.
Civil War is not like my favorite movie. So I feel like in that scene when Spider-Man looks more comfortable is because the threats are in that nature. Whereas in Homecoming, he's actually in this new suit, which he's not fully like equipped with. And then he has to sort of fend off his old sort of enemies and stuff like that. That's that. And what else? You talked about Tony Stark's character. I think for me, one thing that was, I agree about the Pepper thing, that even for me, I was like really, really surprised when they got back together in the end. But I was like, it's not really, it has nothing to do with Spider-Man. So I sort of like put that aside. But one thing I really like about Tony Stark is that he actually gets to be a father figure, and he's not really good at being a father figure. And you even see the way he talks to like Spider-Man in the end. He's like, but I did a good job, right? It was a good learning curve for you. It was a good moment for you. So like you can see that he's trying to figure out how to be a father. And I don't know, I kind of like that moment. And I think it really plays well when you look at the MC in the whole, because he actually becomes a father in the end, like to Morgan. And then even when he goes on to meet his father and he advises his own father that, it gets easy. It's all right. Your first son. So I don't know. I think it sort of adds to that in a way to Tony Stark's character as well. But I do agree that some of the progress is definitely just wiped out of the way.
I think
you covered
Endgame-
all of yours.
everything. Basically.
Yeah.
Endgame was a payoff movie.
Oh, that was amazing.
And I think
Yeah.
it adds to Tony Stark's character, but at the same time, it takes a little bit away from Peter Parker's character for me. And I know everybody knew Spider-Man so well at that time, and they had to do something differently with that movie. So to put the whole Uncle Ben story in it, probably a lot of people would have been bored by it. But for me personally, Spider-Man was always one of my favorite superheroes, and to kind of completely almost take that part away from him and make it kind of he wants to live up to become an Avenger and stuff like that. it's different than the whole with great power comes great responsibility. The one thing is, I mean, he's a teenager and he wants to be part of the big superhero team, but on an emotional level, it's not the same for me, and therefore I still much prefer the Tobey Maguire stuff and the original Spider-Man arc. But I completely realize why they did this. Yeah, but it
I
takes
guess
away a bit.
that's the downside of.
I would like to add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was the point that Manu said about Iron Man being the father figure was the major letdown for me. I mean, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time, and I like to believe that the powers should come within him. So in this film, I felt more like he was an Iron Man kid or something like that. He just holds power that is he's like fully gadget
Oriented,
he wants gadgets as the power just doesn't comes within him. Like from the Tobey Maguire movies, I've been like he doesn't need any gadgets, and that's what those Spider-Man movies unique. And coming to this side, he's much more dependent on Iron Man, his gadgets, his everything, and he wants to be a part of this Marvel team. He wants a father figure. It's just an emotional I don't know, it doesn't add up very well to the main Spider-Man franchise. I felt like Spider-Man Spider-Verse was much more better than Homecoming in all aspects, even though it's not a part of MCU.
Okay, now so I'm like waiting for
Also, sorry.
no, like I would like to take on both Jimmy's points and both the points like right now, because or I think I would forget like what I'm supposed to say. So Jimmy talked about like the not having his Uncle Ben sort of role being really diminished, and I think at that point of time when you had killed off Uncle Ben twice already in a span of I think 10 years, you probably couldn't do that again without really like boring the audience. And I think I really like the way how they reference Uncle Ben in one scene where he's like, my aunt has already been through a lot, she can't go through more. And I thought that was a nice sort of development for his character, because this is something that happened a long time back for him at least. And another point was him wanting to be in the Avengers and him just going in that sort of a route, which is a little bit different from what we see in the comics. But I think that was the point of the film. The point of the film was he was getting carried away with all the superheroes, because he's living in this very superhero world and he's seeing all these other superheroes and he wants to get to the big leagues. And I think that was a story where he has to find his journey to finding his own route to becoming that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that everyone loves. And now coming back to being the Iron Man father figure, again, I would like to make the point that was the journey of the film. Like, he was using gadgets all the way through the first of the film and he was failing. He was not really understanding his own potential. And like you said, it was only in the end where he found his powers from within, when he lifted that debris. But he lifted that debris on his own. He didn't have any help in that scene. And that was the whole point of the film, where he's finding his own feet. It's a coming of age story. And I think that's why for me, Homecoming is my favorite film.
Okay.
Well said.
So everyone done? Are we good to go?
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
literally not attack the film.
Okay. Now I'll start from this film and we'll go to the last film. Okay, first of all, Homecoming, great change to changing from Uncle Ben to Tony Stark. I don't feel it's convincing, Manoj, your argument. I feel it's too Iron Man influenced. It feels like Iron Man 3.5. The whole gadget thing. The ending scene works. That you talked about that scene where he's under the debris. Really good. But it doesn't work. It's just too much about Iron Man. And it's good. It works as an Iron Man 3.5. It works, but not as a Spider-Man movie. Also, you didn't talk about so many great highlight moments from the film. You didn't talk about MJ. You didn't talk about the car scene. You didn't talk about the twist that Vulture is the father. And it changes it. Like that. Those are the highlight moments in the film.
I mean, I talked about the villain,
No, but come on. These are the moments you talk about in a these are the standout moments when you talk about.
I wanted to give more importance for the debris scene, because for me that was the standout scene.
Yes,
more
but
than the cast.
Other scenes too. And also, when Pepper showed up, like I shouted in the hall because I knew her contract is over and everything. So yeah, just wanted to add that. Okay, moving to Civil War.
I might cry. Please be nice.
See, I was
He was
like,
so rude to me.
okay. Don't take it personally, guys. Okay, coming to Civil War, I personally really like it. There are issues. I agree with the point that the VFX and the visuals are a little bit clunky at moments. Talking about the cameos, I think Sachin put a good point that even if you remove the airport scene, the film stands out on its own. But of course the scene is there in the movie, and it does feel weird how all of them just come conveniently and they leave. So I agree to that point. Also, Manoj's point of Iron Man, just losing it at the end. First of all, I think they perfectly set up how Iron Man's connection is with his parents. Second of all, at the end, when he says, he killed my mother, he never says about his dad because he never cared about his dad that much. The moment he says,
Yeah, that was my point.
If you
That
watch
was
the
my
movie,
point.
if you watch the movie,
Yeah, no.
wait, listen to me. If you watch the movie, then you can clearly see the moment he kills his dad, he's not that angry. But the moment he kills his mother, he loses it. And he asks Captain America, did you know it? So he totally loses it. Again, great villain. It's a great moment. First of all, you're pitching two characters against each other, and at the end, the villain wins. Before even Infinity War did it,
Yeah.
they basically did it before that, and basically it's the same sequence that Zemo is sitting in the snow, and Thanos sits at the end in his farm, and they're just looking into nowhere, that they're done with their life. So I think this film took that step, but definitely there are some issues.
Wait. Can I just
Yeah.
just expand on the mother? But what I meant was that this is a very personal point of view. I never felt, like you said, his mother. You literally said what I meant. They never showed his relationship with his mother in any way. That was my point. Like I never felt any sort of emotion that he had with his mother.
I understand
Like,
that, but
other
the
than that
first
first
scene,
scene,
the
but
first
yeah.
scene, he literally, says, "Love you, mother, see you."
Yeah,
He
that's
listens
it.
to
Yeah.
her mother, so I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, one
Like,
thing.
Can I
this
say,
is a-
I,
This is a personal
I've never
point
thought
of
about
view,
that point of the mom versus the dad thing. I think it's really interesting that it was about the mom. He got more annoyed. I just thought that if he had to say one thing that really perfectly captured why he doesn't give a shit. If you said, "I don't care, man. He killed my parents. I don't care, man. He killed my dad." Nothing has more impact than "I don't care, man. He killed my mom." Like, as in at that point,
True,
screw
that's
all
true.
kinds of being civil. Like, I'm going to who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Hopeful nuts, basically.
Also, one more thing, the subversion in the end, I was expecting, we'll have more Winter Soldiers and they'll fight and always again, but no, they totally subversed
twist.
me. I never knew this was gonna happen. Also,
Great
one more
twist.
thing, great visual adaptation from the comics, that scene on the shield, and great adaptation of the comic book, Civil War. And there was one more thing I want to talk about.
Email it to me.
I would.
The impact it has on the MCU, maybe.
Yeah, even that's a good point that it's still relevant today, the whole politics thing. And it also talks about the outcome of what superheroes do. It's the first time we see that people care about what they're doing, the destruction they're causing. So I think that was a great point. I forgot what I was gonna say, but okay, moving on to Iron Man 3. Okay, I think buddy, I have to give it to you.
Enough said.
You were amazing. Like, you hold your ground. I think it's one of the most difficult film to defend, but you did that. I would say, of course, the villain don't work. The stakes. I think my biggest issue with the film is that it doesn't work in MCU film. Like Winter Soldier and Civil War, they are political films, but they work in the scope of the world. But Iron Man films feel like they are set in our world instead of the MCU world, and they never interlink to Avengers or anything like that. The whole point of getting the president and everything, it's just a cliche thing, we'll destroy America. That twist of that America is always behind this, that's really good, but it doesn't serve any bigger purpose. It's just a one-off thing. And I think it does, like, again, Civil War thinks it matters in other films too, but here you said really well that Iron Man's story, the struggle, him losing his suit, that whole sequence of him away with his suits and with that boy, I really love that. But I think the last half doesn't work at all. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Doctor Strange. I think you all just pointed it out. Sandeep, you couldn't defend, I think, the film, but again, too much similarities with Iron Man. The cast, as everyone said, they were never utilized their full potential. They were forced jokes. I think that someone from the chat said that. And again, that rules thing, how things work, it was just the visual thing. It was never explained and anything. So I think definitely I feel that is one of the best origin films after Iron Man, but definitely there's a lot of issues. Okay, coming to Guardians of the Galaxy, Jimmy, you never talked about comedy like the first time you're talking about, so I didn't like
Yeah,
that.
I was saying so much.
Yeah. Ronin feels cartoon. It's very I think it works with the tone of the film. I think other than that, everyone just loved the film. And coming to the last film, Winter Soldier, you guys just loved the film. There were literally only one thing about that mask thing. I feel I didn't knew it was Bucky behind it. I never knew until I saw the film. So it worked for me. And as Sachin said, it didn't matter. Like, I think it was more about Captain America finding it out instead of us finding it out. And it's okay if he doesn't wear the mask again. Again, great spy thriller. One thing, Ashmita, you didn't point out in the first time you were talking about it was the surveillance aspect. I think that's the biggest thing about this film. Again, this film does way better, a good job at, using the political climate, what's happening around in our world in this MCU version instead of what Iron Man has done. And yeah, I think one more thing, Black Widow. I think it's one of our best films, and the best place was a character which totally are in contrast with Captain America. Like, you cannot trust her. She has no moral values. She doesn't align with anyone. Whereas, he's so stiff and rigid about his beliefs. So I think that was a great, and Russo brothers did a great job. And Ashmita, you didn't mention about Russo brothers in the first round.
Second.
Okay.
But hang on. They could mention it in the second time. You can still count it. Right?
No, but first time it's important. That's what matters. Okay, guys. That was great. We have come to the end, and so basically, I'm sorry, but Doctor Strange is out. I'm sorry, but Iron Man 3 is out. You guys did really well.
Wait. You can just say who's first, right? Like,
No. No.
Like, that's
Points. Participation trophy.
yeah.
I think Homecoming is out. And I think Civil War is out. So it's between Guardians of the Galaxy and Winter Soldier. So you guys now vote.
Can we not vote for one of the ones that's out?
No. I cannot decide between Guardians and Winter Soldier, both because you guys.
Sachin,
First of all,
I'll vote for you, you vote for me.
wait.
Can I just say, is it not, for a lot of us, we picked the films which are the best. Like, it's hard to
Yeah.
argue, right? Like Winter
Yeah.
Soldier, Guardians, Civil War, these are great movies. So, I mean, I would have thought the more value lies with the underdogs to see who argue their case most. And I think,
No, I'm talking about that. That's what I'm talking about. These two people brought great points, and none of you argued about those points. Like, all other films, you had negative points and no one could defend those. And I have written all of that down. So these two, that's what I said, you have dug your own graves because you are not attacking the film enough. So their arguments,
Can't we have
because you did
joint
attack
winners?
it, their arguments go on top. So again, as I said in the
Can't we
beginning of
have
this
joint
stream,
winners?
okay, your decision. We can have that. See, again, okay, let me just clarify, guys. We all love these films. All are one of the best films. Personally, for me, Civil War is the best film. So that's all right. We're just having this for fun. So just for that sake of it, let's decide a winner. You guys decide.
See, I just want to say something.
Yeah.
Both Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain America: Winter Soldier, these both came in phase 2 when, there was this sort of feeling that the MCU is going to be very repetitive moving forward. It's not going to be that great, but these two movies really, I think, defined the MCU moving forward. So I think these two movies have essentially the same value when you look at it from the MCU as a whole. So I think let's just have it be joint winners. This is my vote.
I agree.
And how do you choose between a space opera and a spy thriller?
True.
Both are so different and unique, and really both are really my favorite films.
I think in different ways, like Manoj said, I think in different ways, they both represent the best of the MCU and what it can be.
True.
And just insanely different at the same time.
So we all agree.
Yeah.
Joint winners.
Yeah,
See,
I know that.
see, guys, at the end of the day, all of them are great. There's no, we are not degrading any film, but still,
Captain Marvel,
for the sake of the stream, we have to decide. Okay, I think we can announce both our winners. So great job, Jimmy, Ashmita. I know nothing to give you, but all the love and respect.
So now that's bad. See, he like grilled us so much and nothing.
Now it's your turn to grill me. Like, how was I as a moderator?
I'll
You
email you.
forgot me. You forgot me in the first
Okay,
round.
I'll agree. I'll take that. I'll take that. It was my mistake. Yeah, guys, let me know how's your experience.
No man, you did well, man. You did great because it's not easy to handle like
No, you
6-7
were-
people
You were a good.
at the same time.
You were a good Nick Fury.
You were-
I liked how strict you are. It's very easy to like a film and dislike a film. It's very hard to like vocalize it and really talk about the points and justify it. So
True,
no,
true, true.
I appreciate being grilled.
Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed, all of you. You had a great
Yes.
time. You're spending your, pre-Valentine's night with me on this stream. So
Yeah, tomorrow's Valentine's.
The best way to stand it.
This is the plan.
So guys, thank you. We are okay. Just one more thing. What are you excited for the future films, future projects, TV shows?
Eternals.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Eternals. All the way.
Finale of
I think
WandaVision.
Yeah,
that'll be
WandaVision.
great. I think Shang-Chi has really caught my eye. So I'm really excited to see what happens in that.
What if also? That's
What if also, yeah. True.
I'm really waiting for Falcon and the Winter Soldier personally.
I
Because,
second that.
yeah, because I think we are gonna get more of the camaraderie between the two, and it's like a little brother, big brother relationship.
yes, absolutely.
And I love how trippy and brave and different WandaVision is, but
Yeah.
I'm also really starting to miss my MCU comfort food, and that's what I really want Falcon and the Winter Soldier to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think after the lockdown, it has like that fatigue, superhero fatigue people are talking about. I think even I felt that after Endgame, I was like, I'm done with MCU. But I think the pandemic and the lockdown has changed that. I'm like, I cannot wait to go and watch an MCU film in theaters.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
WandaVision came and that MCU logo started coming.
Yeah.
The market feels-
Feels.
I just love them. They have slowed it down.
Yes. And I said, this is what I was missing. I really need
Goosebumps.
Yeah. So guys, I think that we are at the end of the stream. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this, if you want more of this, hit the like button. Go check out all of these people, link in the description, and show them love, show them support, message them, tell them how you enjoyed this, and ask them to come again. So they come back again. I don't know how many will pick up their phone after this stream. So
This is insanely fun. This really was. Like it's nice to find people as crazy as you about this stuff.
We have Pixar movies also.
yeah, definitely. We'll do that in future, and just like, subscribe, share, check out everyone. And guys, wait, I'll be back. Guys, again, check out Indian Geek Society. Link in the description. If it doesn't work, just search new channel doing something different. Support if you like, and hopefully I'll check out after the stream how many subscribers it got. The goal was 100, so let's see. So thank you guys for supporting, and we'll see you next time. Bye.